coming at Kansas City. What do you think the rest of the other 31 teams are doing right now? I think their coaches are sitting there saying, how are we going to get this team and how are we going to knock off Kansas City?
They were saying it last year. They won the Super Bowl last year, and Kansas City has always been the team with the target because now they've won 3 in 5 years. Everyone knows whether you have to go to Kansas City or not, they're the team that's going to be standing there at the end. And what happened this year in the AFC could happen. Now, again, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. What's more likely, that he gets to 7 rings, which he stated is the goal, or that they would three-peat next year with the Chiefs? I think it's more likely they three-peat than he actually gets to 7. Because, again, you never know what's going to happen in the AFC, and they were the juggernaut with quarterbacks this year, and look what happened. Guys fell by the wayside. Other circumstances happened. You mentioned injuries on the defensive side of the ball for a lot of teams. And here's the thing about, Jim Harbaugh coming to the Chargers. All right, is that going to be immediately, are they going to be Super Bowl contenders? I don't know. They got a salary cap situation that sucks. You've got an owner that sucks. You've got a lot of things to get through. An owner that, I shouldn't say sucks, an owner that can meddle, pardon me, should make it personal. I'm going to get banned from any more buildings. And the thing about CJ Stroud, awesome rookie season. But it's not always linear. Look at even the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. Like, guys don't necessarily go year 1, year 2, I'm better, year 3, I'm better. Sometimes you take a little diversion. Sometimes there's a left turn. You get back on track. There's such a thing called a sophomore slump. There's a lot of things I want to see in the AFC.
I care less about the Chargers. I'm not even putting them in the conversation. Look at the AFC North. I think all 4 teams could, 3 of the teams. Pittsburgh, we'll see what they do with quarterback. I think Joe Burrow and Cincinnati, you forget how good they are. They reload. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is as good as any quarterback wide receiver combo. And also, Baltimore, I think, is actually going to be just as good, if not better. I think Baltimore is learning. I think every 10 years, John Harbaugh seems to hit gold, and I think that's coming too. And I think Cleveland's going to be a force because everybody was injured next year. They have Myles Garrett, probably the best defensive player in the league. And if they can just figure out some things on offense, watch out.
Prof, all 3 of them made the playoffs. 3 AFC North teams made the playoffs this year. And what happened? They lost. One of them to the Chiefs. Yeah. Steelers lost to the Bills, and the Browns lost to the Texans.
Steelers are a different thing. Yeah, but the Browns had Joe Flacco quarterback.
I'm just saying.
Give a healthy Deshaun Watson a chance. Who knows?
Listen, I'm not penciling Deshaun Watson in for anything.
I would not count out Deshaun Watson.
They started to figure it out a little bit in the second half of, the Raven game, but then he got hurt. Joe Burrow has finished 2 seasons hurt now out of 4.
But you can't count on them always being hurt. I mean, Joe Burrow's going to have more healthy seasons than injured seasons.
I can't count on them being healthy. You can't count on them being hurt. I can't count on them being healthy. And we got unprecedented health from Lamar this year. Are we sure that's going to hold up?
And we had unprecedented health from Mahomes. Are you sure Mahomes isn't going to get hurt? Last year, he was in and out.
I know, but he won the Super Bowl on one leg. Even if he gets hurt, I think he still has a shot.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot coming at the Chiefs next year. And I mean, let's not ignore the fact that 3 in a row is really hard.
It's
and there's a reason.
Does it.
I mean, did you have any idea? Why did Georgia lose this year? It's hard to put rapid free. But if you look on paper, Georgia should have three-peated too. It's just so much has to go right. You need a punt to hit a guy in the ankle. You need Jalen Hurts to fumble the ball. You need a lot of things to go right. And even the great Tom Brady and New England Patriots, those things didn't always go right. As great as Mahomes is, if he gets in a coin toss Super Bowl every year, sometimes it's going to go the other way. So you need so much to go right for 3 in a row. So I don't really like either bet, to be honest. I think 7's really hard. But if you at least give him enough time, he has a better chance. I think 3 is going to be really hard.
They're both going to be hard, but I'll give one season where everything goes right again as opposed to the next decade.
5 more?
Where I'm really hoping, where I need, 4 more things to go right for him to tie.
You know what I do like about the Chiefs?
What's that?
The way they built this defense, because Karlaftis is young, McDuffie is young.
Yeah.
I love Nick Bolton. I know, but here's the thing, Maggie. You look at their free agents. They have to pay Chris Jones. I think Willie Gay's a free agent. Drew Tranquil's contract's coming up. There's L'Jarius Sneed. So they could. How are they going to redefine this defense? Is that because Steve Spagnuolo so great, or do they have the right talent this year? I wonder if they take a small step back. So it's such a thin line to win in the NFL. If they lose anybody important, are they really going to be able to hold off a Baltimore team that is just going to be waiting for Kansas City next year? If Lamar, it's going to get better. I know that Sounds hard to believe. He's a 2-time MVP.
Right.
And I think that they're going to they're learning how to get the right players around him. And that defense is young. That's a very young defense, except for Kyle Van Noy
and Clowney, but they were one-year guys.
But I think that those guys, Justin Motabike and all those Ravens defenders are coming at you. I just think there's so much competition in the AFC that eventually someone's got to get to the Chiefs, Maggie. They're not going to win forever.
I don't know. I mean, this was their quote-unquote down year on offense, and they still end up winning because the defense was all-time. I mean, that's the other thing about the Chiefs, why I like the 3-peat over the 7. Nobody's interviewing Spagnuolo.
That was based on timing because all the jobs were done by the time he dominated the playoffs.
He's been dominating. I mean, they won.
They let up 35 points in the Super Bowl last year.
I know, but the first Super Bowl that they won, that was not a great defense, and he had a great game plan.
I don't know. He went against Jimmy G.
Well,
no one's going to hire you by shutting down Jimmy G.
I mean, he also, shut down Tom Brady. That did get him hired, and then it went badly with the St. Louis Rams, and then he never got another shot, which is odd because lots of guys who failed in a place get second chances, and he never has, which obviously has helped this because Steve Spagnuolo is like the MVP of this game.
Well, he did
game
get
plan.
Torched in 2 Super Bowls. He got torched by the Bucs, and he got torched by the Eagles. So it's not like he's perfect. I think there's reasons he hasn't been hired. I don't think he was a very good head coach. Some guys are great coordinators.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think people are going to look at him as well. Don't you think? By the way, you said Matt Nagy would be the heir apparent. The fact that
that's
the offense.
That's the rumor.
No, you said that's out there, and I've heard it as well.
Yeah.
That the way Matt Nagy's calling plays or getting involved in the offense, they've really slowed down. I think Spagnuolo would make much more sense. Which, if you had a choice, who would you go with?
Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah,
definitely to be the heir apparent to Andy Reid. Absolutely. But again, I don't think Reed's going anywhere. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
Yes. There's one other name who could be in the mix there, too.
Who's that?
Eric Bieniemy could return to the Chiefs, which is something that's being reported for next year, potentially. He could be on the staff.
I think it'd be a good thing. Obviously, they've had success with Bieniemy. They've had success without him. But, I mean, Bieniemy not getting a job, we could talk about this till the cows come home. But, of course, he should come back.
Yeah. What about the offensive weapons? Where the Chiefs, you're worried at all about the fact that they have really Rashee Rice in the wide receiving core and that's it? Are you going to bring in a big name here? Are you going to try and do something to make the offense a little more dynamic?
Well, I don't know, because, again, you talk about the money situation. This is where Patrick Mahomes is going to have a say about it, right? Because he restructured. You might have to restructure again to try to make a little bit more room for everyone, and we'll see what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
cap hits are massive.
I guess these guys play pretty good in the postseason, but you have Rashee Rice, who's very solid, then Justin Watson, MVS, McCole Hardman, Sky Moore has been a disappointment. I think you need one more player in that wide receiver room. So they could get him. I mean, it's not that hard to find a wide receiver, but the Chiefs offense, they can't be the same Chiefs offense going into next year. I'm telling you, it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. Everything went right this year. It's not happening again. I'm betting against them. In fact, if you want to do some sort of show bet, I'm
long-term
totally
show
down.
Bet? What happens? 7 rings or a 3-peat?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a really long-term show bet.
Yeah,
but
booking there.
I'll do a show bet that they do not 3-peat. I'll take all takers. Any odds you want.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, you can go vote on our poll. More likely a 3-peat or Patrick Mahomes gets to 7 rings. All right, want to hear from you. Lots more to do, including, man, we've got some news coming in fast and furious here. The one thing that had us totally flabbergasted from yesterday, just jaws on the floor. Why? Why would you? We'll get to that story next. 855-212-4CBS, Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Interesting debate today. Is the scar tissue building up in San Francisco, and eventually will Kyle Shanahan have to go somewhere else to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so, because I think Kyle Shanahan's still young, 44. Let's be honest. If you have enough money and you can live in San Francisco, that's pretty nice. And they're on the sunny side of San Francisco. They're not. They're Santa Clara. You can live up in Palo Alto with the billionaires in Silicon Valley. It's a beautiful area. He's lockstep with the GM. He has a great team that he keeps on rebuilding. As long as Nick Bosa is still doing what Nick Bosa does, I think you can build around that. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. I don't know why he would leave.
Well, he's 7 years in, and it's just been the losses get kind of crushing, and to keep getting this close and not being able to get over the hump, I think it's hard. I think it does weigh on whether it's the coach. I think whether it's the players, all this. It's a lot of winning, ironically, yet the big losses, it's like you're right there and the rug gets pulled out from under you each time. And we see it with other teams, where it can fester. Like some teams never get over big losses. Look at what happened with the Seattle Seahawks. They had actually won a game. They lost that second Super Bowl. Malcolm Butler at the goal line. They fell apart after that. I mean, you talk about my Buffalo Bills. You want to do this twice in the 90s? And I think it's happening right now where people don't believe as much in the Bills because of all these close losses. You have to wonder, is it ever going to happen?
Yeah, but I don't think those teams are as good as San Francisco. I think the reason the Bills are not winning Super Bowls is they're not good enough. And same with that Seahawks dynasty. I think that Seahawks dynasty seemed awesome in the moment, but were they really that talented? Was Russell Wilson really that good at the moment?
The defense really was that good.
Yeah, but they got old fast. I mean, those guys, half that
not the next year after they lost to the Patriots. That
Legion of Boom was gone so fast. Think about, the Seahawks disappeared really quickly. That was a flash in the pan dynasty.
Well, it was another 5 years that they were all together. I mean, we always talk about.
I don't think so. You think that they were all there till 19?
I believe it was at least 18. Remember, we always talk about how young Richard Sherman actually is.
No, I know. It's crazy. I felt like that Legion of Boom fell apart pretty fast, or at least they weren't as dominant in any way.
I think the defense stuck around and listen, the tension was there, obviously, between the defense and Pete Carroll, the defense and Russell Wilson. I just think you're underestimating the human element here of what it's like to lose these big games.
I think the fans get more upset than the coaches just chill the rest of the offseason. I think Kyle Shanahan's fine by now. I don't think he's sitting there.
I don't
think
he's never gonna get over this.
No, you think that he's gonna be bothered this offseason? I think he's gonna go about it like he always does.
Oh man, I think you're underestimating that. A lot of the greatness I think of these guys is their hatred of losing more than their love of winning.
You go down to an NFL after the locker room when they go to the family things and a crushing loss, and you're like, the fans are crying and everybody, and the players just like, hey, what's at the buffet? They are professionals. They are not fans. They are looking ahead. Kyle Shanahan is going to chill off season. You really think he's going to be depressed and sitting in a dark room wondering about what could have been? No way.
He says he can't watch the film. He's watching Griselda.
Yeah, but that was yesterday.
Listen, that was yesterday. Today he'll be fine.
Wait till you see him at the owners' meeting. He's going to look tan and refreshed. He looks haggard right now. He's going to look fine.
I think I've seen what you're talking about. I've witnessed it firsthand in regular season games. I've witnessed it firsthand where guys lose and it feels crushing, and then they go out there with their family and it's like whatever, and they're dripping in diamonds and life is good and they deserve that. But I think the Super Bowl losses are, we've talked to enough professional athletes where this stuff stays with them.
Jalen Hurts was so busy doing magazine cover shoots this offseason that I don't think there was a second where he was in a dark room worried about last year's Super Bowl loss.
Okay, but
Jason Kelce was still partying.
And Nick Sirianni doesn't know any better. But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts can do that because he's young. See, again, this 49er team feels different than Super Bowl 54. 54, it was the come up. It was, we're here. Oh my gosh, we had this lead, but we're going to be back. Meanwhile, now you've lost an NFC Championship game where you had a 10-point lead, and now you just lost an overtime Super Bowl where the option was yours, whether and what you wanted to do. And I'm not saying it's the only reason they lost, but it's one of them. I don't think you get over that in one trip to Cabo.
Oh, so what do you think the Niners players are going to be? No, not at all. I think they're fine. I think they're going to come back and be completely fired up next year. They've already lost the Super Bowl. They know what it's like. They're used to this.
Let's go to Rich's in California. Good morning, Rich.
How you doing? Shanahan's not going anyplace. Okay? After the Harbaugh bulky wars where Jed York had to be the adult in the room and keep those two guys apart, it shook the team right down to the foundations. Mm-hmm. Now they've got a GM, they've got a coach in lockstep, they've got Jeb York who can literally sit down there and do what owners do best, sit down, shut up, and cut checks. And they've got maybe one more year window where they can actually compete and maybe make it to a Super Bowl. Yeah, is it tough? Sure. the whole community is kind of feeling it. But I would simply say that when Dre Greenlaw went down, I think it was pretty much wrote large as to what exactly was going to happen.
Yeah, Rich, you say that Shanahan's not going anywhere. I agree, not this year, not next year, but you just said their window might close in a year. And I don't know if I agree with that. Thank you for the phone call. I mean, you've got Purdy. If you really think he's the guy, this is the time to capitalize on Purdy and the rookie contract. But again, it's not as bad as the Harbaugh situation, but let's not forget the Harbaugh situation was good until it was bad. And I'm not saying that there's not tension. I don't know if there's any tension in that room in the building for the 49ers, but the losses hurt, and it's not like they didn't have a really high-profile mistake with Trey Lance. So, and after the fact, it was a kind of a little bit of a race to see who actually wanted Lance. Was it really John Lynch convincing Kyle Shanahan? Was Kyle Shanahan the guy who wanted it? There was a lot of spin after the Trey Lance debacle. So it's not like they're immune to the things that every organization goes through.
Do you think today there's any repercussions of that? I think they moved past that.
I'm just saying it
pretty
builds.
Easily.
I think it builds.
I think as far as their window, I mean, I think their superpower is Nick Bosa, who's 26. He's like Aaron Donald with the Rams. Eventually, there's going to be a close Super Bowl where he's just going to put the team on his back. And Warner's getting a little older. I understand that, but there's just so many pieces here. And Shanahan doesn't need great offensive players to just have a great offensive game plan. He's a great run game coach.
Sure.
So remember the Raheem Mostert game. He doesn't need first round picks all over his offense. He has to have some. I mean, Debo's a second rounder, Kittle's a fifth rounder, McCaffrey's a first rounder, and AYIUK's a first rounder. But I think his offense is always going to be pretty good. It's always going to be the Shanahan offense. So I think the question is, what is that little extra ingredient to get them over the hump?
Well, I think they thought it was going to be McCaffrey. I mean, you can say that Raheem Mostert, and that was a great story and is a great story, but there's a reason they felt like they had to outbid everyone else for McCaffrey.
Yeah, but the truth is they could probably win without McCaffrey too. They could get, and I don't think that they fall off. They're still a 12-win team without McCaffrey.
I know he's such a big part of their offense, though.
Yeah, but honestly,
he is the offense.
Yeah, I think I've heard a couple of analysts say they need to bring in another workhorse alongside McCaffrey. They need a guy to take some of those carries away. He had way too many touches this season. He ran for, he had 67 catches, and he was, I think, second or third in the league in carries. I thought he wore down a little bit. I thought Elijah Mitchell came into this game. He had a couple 7-yard runs. I was like, ooh, look at that little spark plug. I just think Kyle Shanahan's such a good play caller that he can make a lot of guys look good. He took that Jimmy G offense, which was totally sputtering all year, and got to a Super Bowl and almost beat the Rams. I think this team is going to be around for a long time.
Andrew Bogusch is here. We'll get back to the phones in a minute. He's got headlines for us. Yo.
Guys, I'm assuming EJ is okay with this. The Magic retiring Shaq's number 32 last night.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to wear the blue and white. Orlando will forever hold a special place in my heart. I'll always be proud to be part of this Magic franchise.
The odd thing was they held this ceremony after the game, which the Magic lost to the Thunder 127-113. So Shaq had to thank people for sticking around to watch. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 32. Chet Holmgren, just 13 points, 9 boards, and 5 blocks the night after Wemby had 27, 14, and 10.
Wait, does nobody learn from the Mets? I mean, that should be like an infamous moment. It is an infamous moment in all of sports, or maybe just for certain people in the room. You never do the ceremony after the game.
It's ridiculous.
This was the Mets closing Shea Stadium after losing.
An epic collapse of the season. And then it's like, hey, everyone, stick around for these great memories at Shea that we are going to now run through.
Well, this isn't as much egregious as the Met one, because this is regular season. They probably didn't want the fans to leave.
But why?
Why not just do it before?
Right.
Or
halftime in Orlando?
Why not halftime?
I don't know either.
So was Shaq calling the game? I saw he was there. I think they took him out of the studio and put him. He was there.
He was there. It was on TNT. I don't know if he actually did the broadcast.
This was a TNT game. I don't know if he was on the broadcast.
I watched the game and I don't even remember.
I hope he'd be there. I mean, retiring his number.
He definitely. I did see he had a headset on and a suit. So I think he might have been involved in the broadcast.
There's your answer right there. It was probably their lone game on TNT. They don't want to have that look of nobody being in the crowd after you're on a Shaq.
No one's going to get up and leave, though.
People will. As much as everyone has downgraded the NBA regular season, people will leave after that.
No, but they're actually not Orlando's not bad.
Yeah, they're a good team.
I know, but
Orlando has a winning record this year. They're
Yeah.
the young.
Yeah.
Banchero's kind of awesome.
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't worry about
They have
that.
both
Wait,
Wagners.
Hold on. We're missing the big point here, which is they're honoring, 35 years of Orlando Magic basketball or something? 30 years, 35, whatever. What took him so long to retire Shaq's number? He hasn't played there since like 1996, 7?
Yeah. I think he even said he thought it wasn't going to happen. And now
Did
it
he have
happens.
that bad of a relationship with the team? Like, I don't.
Well, the end was very
bad.
messy.
Again, it's been 30 years.
I know, but Shaq's one of the more petty superstars we've probably ever seen.
And then he went off and won all these titles with the Lakers. How'd the Magic feel about that?
I know, but meanwhile, you've been sitting through all these awful seasons with the Magic. You didn't even just to goose ticket prices on one of these bad seasons.
I was a little surprised, and this is where Bo was probably get mad at me again, that Shaq definitely should have been the first person, but it's not like they don't have other guys who probably should have their number retired.
Yeah.
Like
No,
T-Mac and Penny both wore one.
Okay, but
Yeah.
Shaq first, and then those.
Yeah, sure. No, sure. I'm just saying, though, like, Scott Skiles maybe could even have his number retired. He was one of the original players, and he has 30 assists in the game. I mean,
And it was their coach.
right. And
obviously,
Dwight Howard's going to
Dwight
get his
Howard,
number
definitely.
retired, too. So,
Yeah, by the way, Dwight Howard probably already should have happened too.
yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
35 years with nobody just seems
Stupid.
crazy. Yeah.
Like, honestly, what are you waiting around for?
has the DeVos family always owned them?
I thought so.
So
I
this
don't
is even
think
like
so.
this is not like new owners coming in and like changing the way they were doing
They've
business
owned him for at least, I think, 10 years.
for a long time. Yeah.
I don't know if they're the original owners.
Because when they won those first two draft picks, remember the same owner kept getting the number one pick, and that was they got Shaq, then they got Chris Webber, they traded for Penny, and then they got Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
There was I don't remember the guy's name for some reason. His face is coming to me, but that was a different guy. And then the DeVos family bought them sometime after that, I believe.
Yeah. Amway, right? DeVos family.
Yes.
I think that's
Yeah.
how they made their money.
My wife spent a night with Tom. That's
Hey,
not
man. Whoa,
Thomas
happy
DeVos.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So basically, she met because
They're
I
big
should
in
guess. Yeah,
Betsy DeVos was the education
Yeah,
secretary.
so my
to Trump.
father-in-law is close with Betsy DeVos.
Right.
And they had this dinner, and Thomas was like, found out that we had a show on CBS Sports Radio and was chatting at my wife and be like, oh, I want to come on. And I just forgot about it.
Perloff. We could have been asking about Shaq's retirement, the jersey retirement.
So anyway, so Thomas DeVos, we should call him up, get him on and say, why not Dwight Howard? Why not Penny Hardaway?
What the hell are you waiting for? And thank you for joining us.
Can I, since you guys mentioned somehow shoehorn Mets into the last discussion, can I just ask a quick Sixers poll question off last night's game?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Sure.
So Markelle Fultz is a point guard on Orlando Magic. Still there. He stinks, but whatever. What would be more painful for me? To see Markelle Fultz be great and win a title, James Harden, Ben Simmons, or Doc Rivers?
Wow. I think it would be more painful if Jason Tatum wins the title.
Oh,
All of
that's
those
one of the
things.
all-time.
But there is a rumor that
They've been
the
close,
Celtics never would have made that trade if they had thought the Sixers were going to take Tatum instead of Fultz.
Well, you should have took Tatum. That's the problem.
But no. But the Celtics had the number one pick, and they traded down with us because they knew we were taking Fultz. They wouldn't have traded if they
gotcha.
thought we were taking
That's
Tatum.
true.
Anyway, I think it's just a very painful thing. Do you guys hate when one of your players leaves to another team and wins? Do you root against them?
Well, I tried not to. I mean, Jacob deGrom just won a title with the Texas Rangers,
Yeah,
but
how'd
he
you
didn't
feel
play because he was hurt all year, so it was just different. I tried not to root against guys, but there's a couple for you that I kind of get.
Ben Simmons?
Well, I was going to say Harden.
Harden.
For sure.
I mean,
I think a lot of people in the NBA are rooting against Harden because he's been in a few teams.
I think Doc Rivers was trying. I mean, and also I don't think he's winning a title.
Yeah, I don't think you should feel
That's
bad.
true.
I don't think you should feel bad about Doc Rivers winning a championship.
When the player or coach leaves a bad taste in your mouth, that's when you boo them.
Right.
So if they left a bad taste in your
Like
mouth with your team and they go win a title somewhere else, that's where you boo them.
Well,
That's
like
when-
I mean, Ben Simmons for sure also. But,
Fultz would be bad because the Sixers took him number one overall and he did nothing. If he all of a sudden got it together and won a title in Orlando, that would suck.
Right, but I mean, like he got hurt and there was a weird mental issue. I don't know.
Shooting with the wrong hand?
I don't know how you shouldn't feel bad about him. If he makes it, you guys should actually say good for him. He finally figured it out.
I'm with EJ. He's the least of your concerns on this list. It's so long ago. It's so it's finished. Like it's done.
He was barely there.
Yeah, that's not a thing. The other three guys, though, I don't know how you pick a winner out of those. Harden,
I don't know.
Doc, and Ben.
Do you end up rooting for people? Were you Jets fans rooting for Mecole Hardman?
no.
To get the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl when he started the season with the Jets?
The Hardman thing didn't kill me as much as maybe other Jets fans.
I'm just kidding. But
were there any Bills that left? I mean, Bruce Smith left to go to Washington, right?
listen, again, we talk about scar tissue and about. I'm surprised. I was a kid then. If I had been an adult when the Bills were losing all those Super Bowls, I'm shocked they were able to keep it together as long as they did. I think these losses are really hard.
Like, I got asked by Sully actually last week about what happened when Darrell Revis left the Jets. Now for
won a title
with
with
the Patriots eventually. Now that didn't bother me as much because one, he went to the Bucs first, and he was terrible there, and they didn't know how to use him. And then he eventually got to the Patriots when the Jets didn't want him, and a lot of teams didn't want him. Bill Belichick kind of resurrected his career. I didn't feel bad about him winning a championship because I felt like the Revis Island that left the Jets was not the guy that was on the Patriots.
No, the mistake was you brought him back and paid him a bunch of money. That was
right, because Woody Johnson is Woody Johnson.
Star chaser.
Yeah.
That's a kind way to put it.
Yeah, and I kind of picture Revis at the Hall of Fame game this year as Revis Island has grown over the years.
Dude, Perloff is merciless.
We all know.
Merciless
Well,
when
that's
it comes
the
to
thing too.
athletes.
He was starting to maybe slow down a little bit toward the end of the Jets. And you're right, the Patriots, he was still really good. But it didn't match. Like, Revis was not going to win a title because the Jets were on the decline at that time. Right. So if you're sure, I think that's a good point.
No, wait, pause.
Yeah.
Perloff, God forbid, you're an athlete. You gain 2 ounces after your playing career is done.
Revis didn't gain 2 ounces.
I mean, America was there on that Revis thing. We were all there.
No, Perloff, you are so tough on athletes.
That's not just me. I mean, everybody. That was the story of the preseason.
And I think he was wearing
story of the preseason,
an ill-fitting shirt or something too.
They all had these weird outfits on. It didn't work at all.
No, it was not flattering.
And that Hall of Fame game, everyone's sweaty. I don't think there's a makeup team. That whole thing they have to work on next year.
Do you realize people calling out Patrick Mahomes and the dad bod is probably going to propel this guy to a 3rd straight Super Bowl? He already told McAfee yesterday he's probably going to take his shirt off at the parade today just so everyone sees he got caught at a bad angle.
No,
we got to stop body shaming these athletes, man. It just fuels their fire.
Man, Mahomes doesn't care. I think Mahomes actually, credit him. I don't think he's going to get ripped this off. I don't think he's going to get shredded this offseason because he's proud of his dad bod.
He said he's taking his shirt off.
Well,
today.
the offensive linemen, though, the opposite. They all weigh 300 pounds, and they come back the next season. They're like 210 pounds and totally shredded, like Joe Thomas and all those guys. So, it works both ways. How did we get here?
Because Shaq's number was retired. That's how we got here.
One other thing about Shaq's number getting retired, this gives us a chance to resurrect one of the other great show debates. Well, it's Great Debate Wednesday. We'll do that at the top of the hour. But is Blue Chips a great movie?
Who doesn't think Blue Chips is a great movie?
You're sitting across the glass from him.
Yeah, great. Is it a great movie?
Yes.
Perloff doesn't think it holds up.
What?
It's basically a documentary. What do you mean it's hold up?
Yes, all the things you love. Guys getting paid, scandal, basketball.
Point shaving.
Tractors just showing up in backyards.
Yeah. Overacting, poor writing, basketball players who have no idea how to be on screen. Yeah,
Rex Walters was in that game. What are you talking about?
Nick Nolte? Are you kidding me?
Well, Shaq.
Oh, God.
Shame on me for wanting to run anywhere with you.
What?
Nick Nolte and real players.
Yeah.
The basketball in it is really good. Bobby
you guys
Hurley's
are
in
right.
that
Like
movie.
it's 20 times better than Hoosiers. I would
watch that movie 5 times over before I watch Hoosiers.
There is a rewatchability factor.
Okay, put up the poll. What's a better movie, Hoosiers or Blue Chips?
You said you'd rather watch more.
Which one would you rather watch?
Guys, the critical tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes. Guess what it is for Blue Chips?
Give me a break. I don't care about that. What's the fan rating?
EJ, do you know that movies are subjective? Your opinion on a movie does not mean that it's universal. Are you aware of that fact?
Are you? You're doing the same thing.
I'm just saying the Rotten Tomatoes is 38%. Is one of the most critically panned movies
of the night. What is the fan vote?
The fan vote's 51%. Because Blue Chips sucks.
Blue Chips does not suck. Give me a break.
Doesn't suck.
Anything else, folks?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to present this one without being mean. According to the New York Post, Tom Brady has been talking to other high-end analysts to prep for his Fox debut next season. Among those whose brain Brady has picked is Tony Romo, which begs the question, what did he find in Romo's brain?
What a day. Martin Luther King Jr. deserves to have a day named after him.
And then he sang Adele. Romo also telling The Athletic that Brady is just like him. They'll both work as hard as possible to be ready for a game from a guy whose prep has been universally questioned for multiple years. So if Brady's listening to Romo, thoughts and prayers to Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, is it like listen, Romo had a better game in the Super Bowl. Definitely. Better game. This was his third Super Bowl that he called, by the way. Better game in the Super Bowl. But yeah, that Martin Luther King thing, that just happened. That was like a month ago. That wasn't like we're pulling up old stuff. That was the last holiday we had until today, Valentine's Day.
Two analysts that will make over $30 million combined are actually not the best analysts in the NFL, which is unbelievable.
Well, we don't know what Brady's going to be like. He could end up being good. I think he's going to be good. I
agree.
But like you think about all the people's brains that you could pick.
I mean,
there's a lot of really talented people out there.
Like the guy you're going to replace.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's doing like a reverse psychology thing and he's going to just do the opposite of what Romo tells him.
Fade Romo.
The one thing that Romo, and again, I thought he had a fine Super Bowl, but the one thing that killed me was, and this is just a technique thing, this is X's and O's, you cannot jump the call at the end. Nance does jackpot Kansas City. You have to lay out there and let the pictures tell the story. That is a number one thing he has to know better at this point of his career. Has to.
By the way, Brain Camp on Twitch says, let's get Andrew Bogish in the broadcast booth.
Yeah.
That's
right. Me and Brady would crush it.
Yeah. That's what we need. He should be calling you, Andrew. He shouldn't be calling Tony Romo.
Not Romo.
You'd be sweating like the pilot and oh man, an airplane.
That's a direct hit. I definitely have a sweating problem, but I would be okay. No. We'd be fine. We'd be fine.
You have a sweating problem? I've never noticed that.
Good. It's early in the day. That's why.
It's funny. Now that you say it, I feel like now I
You do have a sweating problem?
He looks like Darrelle Revis at the Hall of Fame game.
No, he was
thinner.
That's a fat joke. Now I'm like, come on, man.
No, you haven't gained 4 ounces. So
no, Darrelle was also sweating a lot.
Was he?
Oh yeah,
I don't remember
everybody
the sweat.
was.
I just remember the shirt barely hanging on for dear life.
Oh, you guys are the worst. You're so mean.
Can we take a break? Can I come back and read some reviews of Blue Chips? It is amazing.
Yes, we'll do that also.
Did you guys know Shaq won a Razzie for Blue Chips?
Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Coming up next.
And you guys do.
Yeah, we're the fans. Get out of here with this critics crap.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like it now.
Anyway,
until I care about what critics say, give me a break.
Coming back, Perloff will read the reviews of Blue Chips as Shaquille O'Neal gets his jersey retired by the Magic 35 years too late. Also, big coaching news for one of the Super Bowl for the 49ers. I'll just say it. Big coaching news we were surprised by. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff.
Popeyes fans watched the perfect pairing, a Popeyes commercial during the big game, and their new lineup of crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside wings. Order any of their 5 delicious flavors today. We've got to figure out what time the Popeyes opens here in New York City, because that's got to be our order ASAP.
Yeah, now just hearing you say that, I'm starving.
Get on this.
Let's go.
We had a Popeyes on City Line growing up.
Yeah.
And that was the go-to place. Yeah, it's 7:48 Eastern.
Is it too early? I don't think so.
I don't now.
Never.
Oh boy,
We've been up
with
early.
a soda. Oh, that's one thing. We don't have enough good food coming through this place, right? You know, it's post Super Bowl. We ate really well. I think we need to step up our game and match what we were doing in Vegas and bring Popeyes into the studio today.
All right, I think we should do it. This should now be every one of our show bets should end with the loser buys Popeyes for everybody. That's it. That's now going to be in the constitution of the Maggie and Perloff show.
I actually try to lose on purpose now.
I know. Well, we'll all be racing to see who's going to get to buy the Popeyes.
By the way, is everybody else lost on sports right now? Now I'm thinking about food.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm gone.
Luck.
I do have a review, a movie review, though.
Oh, please. Okay, so Shaquille O'Neal gets his jersey retired by the Orlando Magic, so it gave us a chance to bring up Blue Chips, the movie he filmed while a member of that Orlando Magic team. Perloff does not like this movie. The rest of us love it.
I like it. I think it's kitschy, but it's definitely not a great movie, as it was called last time. A great movie. A great movie is The Godfather,
Right.
Citizen Kane, whatever. This was not exactly an Oscar nominee. Here's the Washington Post. What's most surprising here is that the assembled talent from the worlds of basketball and movies is so impressive, and still the work is so tired. As a coach who exchanges his soul for a winning program, Nick Nolte struts and bellows in a desperate attempt to bring his character to life, and though he works up quite a lather, all he gets for the effort is sweat stains. And you realize how low a 38% is on Rotten Tomatoes? And Shaq got a Razzie Award as the worst new star, which I think is mean. Who doesn't love Shaq in a movie?
Yeah, you can't take pre-Rotten Tomatoes era movies and apply Rotten Tomatoes scores. I don't think that I don't do that for any of those movies.
Oh, so if Rotten Tomatoes wasn't around,
yeah,
because
what they do is they say, okay, let's take reviews from that are archived from the 90s and say, okay, let's just take those and compile a score.
Can I give you other movies that have gotten about a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hit us.
The House Bunny, Varsity Blues.
Dan Patrick was in House Bunny, by the way. Played a cop.
I mentioned it. The Bodyguard, The Replacements, Nacho Libre, Cars 2.
Was Nacho Libre the one? That's not the one that
Jack
Will.
Black.
Okay, not the one that Will Ferrell did in Spanish.
Will Ferrell did a movie in Spanish?
Yeah, he did a movie all in Spanish. Nacho Libre, I did see Nacho Libre. Not great.
How about Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which came out in 1973? These are other movies that got a 38%, the same as Blue Chips on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't actually know all those
The
movies.
Great Outdoors, Pete and I's favorite. I know.
I think sports movies get judged harshly anyway, so I'm not taking
But I think
38% of Rotten Tomatoes seriously.
But if you
for
look
Blue
at
Chips.
any great sports movie list, Blue Chip's usually not near the top because
Blue
it
Chips
was
gets
a
mentioned.
little cheesy.
How
Blue
about
Chips gets mentioned a lot with people's favorites.
Ernest Saves Christmas?
anything earnest.
I got the same review.
All right, we need to do a rewatchable. We need to watch Blue Chips. It was just a little corny.
Hoosiers is NyQuil. Stop it with those.
No school this small.
Hoosiers has got to be a movie that everybody's got to watch today. Like, give me a break. That is one of the most boring movies.
EJ, you're going to turn off a lot of people with that one.
I don't care.
It's a classic, so it's like the same thing.
It's a great movie.
If you watch Bad News Bears now, it's just going to be slow. It's going to feel slow because it's a movie that was made in the 70s, and Chinatown could seem slow right now. Any movie that was made in the 70s, even The Godfather seems slow for our current appetite and our current.
Blue Chips is more of an ode to Indiana basketball Bob Knight than Hoosiers is. Hoosiers glorifies Indiana basketball in a way that, to me, when we think about Indiana basketball, we think about the Bob Knight era.
It's funny because Nick Nolte literally pulled. First of all, Bobby Knight is in Blue Chips,
the movie.
And he does the same thing where he throws the chair across the floor.
And he says he was inspired by Bob Knight.
Right.
Like, if you love Indiana basketball, you should love Hoosiers. I mean, you should love Blue Chips.
Well, Blue Chips, one thing, they turned it into UCLA as well. They try to glom both programs together.
The Dolphins.
But during the summer, we did a great show debate, which we're doing in a minute, actually.
Yep.
And we did best sports movies. Just to get a baseline, EJ, off the top of your head, like, what are your top 3 sports movies? Just back of hand. It doesn't. You're not going to be glued to this take. I'm just curious.
Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Coach Carter. That's a favorite for me. It's got to be another great football movie, I would say.
Okay. So more modern ones. So this is really kind of based on your age and, because you don't like the older ones like Rocky or whatever.
I love Rocky. No, Rocky. Rocky 3 probably. That would be my 3.
So I was going to say, even the original Rocky, which is a great movie and won an Oscar, would seem slow today because our attention spans are just different.
I hear you. But listen,
I love the original Rocky.
Will you guys at least admit there are some cheesy, stereotypical elements of Blue Chips? Like, it's like, we're going to hit this box, and hit that box.
Right, but like sometimes I think we get into because it's cheesy, it's bad, which is unfortunately what critics do.
And you guys don't.
Cheesy can be done well.
You don't like The Program with Joe Kane?
35% on Rotten Tomatoes, must love dogs. Also, don't tell mom the babysitter's dead.
Oh, come on. That's a great movie.
Coming up, the dishes are done, man.
I did like that one.
Coming up, great debate for this Wednesday. What's the topic? It's related to the Super Bowl.
You're in a 5-minute break. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
On Wednesdays around here, we wear pink. No, on Wednesdays, we do the Great Debate Series, Perloff. It is loosely inspired on the news, and we take these moments and we make them into greater debates. So let's hit it.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, again, loosely based on the news. Today's great debate. The worst coaching decision of all time. Now again, loosely based on the news. We are not accusing Kyle Shanahan of making one of the worst decisions in sports history in terms of coaching, but it did get us thinking about other coaches who have made massive gaffes. Perloff, in your opinion, who is the worst?
Okay, so we're talking Super Bowl here. We're not. It doesn't have to be Super Bowl, but to me, to get to this list, to get to the top, it has to be a mistake in the Super Bowl when the stakes are the highest and everything is on the line. And when you think of coaching gaffes in the Super Bowl, maybe this is recency bias, but what has to jump to mind? It is Pete Carroll not handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch and having Russell Wilson throw the ball.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
Yeah, as you pointed out, Maggie, the Patriots won the game and the Seahawks never got back to the Super Bowl. Maybe derailed a dynasty. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen. But regardless of what you think of, whether he should have passed it or run it, just the impact of that call and the way the team kind of Carroll lost them after that to a large extent, especially that great defense. So I think that is the most impactful bad call, and it was a terrible call. There's no reason to throw it into the middle of the field at that point. Just run the darn ball.
Especially the theory after the fact that they wanted Russell Wilson to have the MVP. Now, that's never really been proven out.
Yeah.
But, of course, obviously the players think there might be something to that.
By the way, that as a neutral fan, I didn't like the Patriots or the Seahawks. This pains me. That is the most pain-inducing play of all the to see a team think they're going to win the Super Bowl and have it snatched out is terrible.
And to hand it to Brady and Belichick of all people. Ugh. Okay. I will get accused of recency bias on this one. I do not care. The worst coaching decision in the history of sports happened this year. It happened in college football. And it happened when the Miami Hurricanes were playing Georgia Tech. And Mario Cristobal had the game won and decided instead of taking a knee, he was going to run a play. Here's what it sounded like.
Here's Cheney, just straight ahead, tackled, and the ball popped out.
You got to read the clock. Read the card. To me,
Georgia Tech has it with 26 seconds left. Kyle Kennard comes up with the fumble.
You should not be running the football. You should be taking a knee.
Here's King. From the pocket, flush to his right with 6, 5, gonna loop it downfield, and ball is caught! Touchdown, Georgia Tech! With 1 second to go in the ball game, Christian Leary hauls it in.
You could have taken a knee. Georgia Tech had no timeouts. They could not stop the clock. This is an all-time gaffe, and why it raises to the worst in the history of sports, even though it's a random Miami-Georgia Tech game, is because Mario Cristobal did this to my Oregon Ducks when they were playing against Stanford back in 2018 when Stanford had 1 timeout, and they could have knelt down and given the ball back to Stanford with 10 seconds left, and instead decided to run a play. It was insane in 2018. He never learned the lesson in 2023. And why this, to me, Perloff, is bigger than like the Miracle at the Meadowlands or something where, back in history, is because in 1978, you weren't kneeling back then. The clock had just started. You just started to get a clock in the stadium, a game clock, in 1976. So guys and coaches weren't used to taking a knee because the timing of the game was never as precise as it is now. And so I'm not going to give it to the Miracle at the Meadowlands because this is modern NFL football 2023. You know better. There's no reason to ever lose a game like this. Mario Cristobal is the worst coaching decision of all time. EJ, I'm sorry.
Yeah, why are you doing this to me?
I'm sorry.
I totally get it because after the Miracle in Meadowlands, the Giants famously were so depressed they hired Bill Parcells and went on to a dynasty, and the Eagles got the Super Bowl 2 years later. There was no impact of that compared to a Miami, Georgia Tech middle. We're talking 500 teams or barely above 500 teams.
Mine was undefeated, by the way, when that game happened.
Wait, forget the Miami part. That's not the most important. That's not the most important part about this. It is common practice now to take knees. Everyone knows this now. In 1978, it wasn't common. You were still handing the ball off to the fullback and doing, QB sneaks and stuff to run out the clock.
Do you know why it's common now?
Because of Joe Passaro. I get it, because of the Miracle of the Meadowlands. But again, in the moment, it was not common practice. It is common practice today and has been for 35 years.
Yes, it was not. That's a really good point. I've never heard someone say they should have taken it. Well, they should have taken a knee, but I never heard in the moment the coach just said we thought about taking a knee.
No, but he was doing it back in the 70s, not until the Miracle of the Meadowlands, of course.
And I think that Miracle of the Meadowlands, one thing about it, and I almost chose that too, the fact that Herm Edwards was the guy and he became such a character does give it a little bit of
yes, and he was in our lives as a coach and broadcaster forever.
But one more thing, the fact that Mario Cristobal has done it twice, does it worse? Does it make it worse, or does it make it like, did you have trouble picking which one to go with?
No, it was, at least he would have given the ball back to Stanford with 10 seconds left. I guess maybe Stanford could have done something. There. But no, the fact that he did this twice, you are just, how do you not learn from your mistakes? EJ, I'm sorry to call out Miami, but that's just the worst ever.
You can't wait for football season now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my pick. Perloff's not gonna like this because it's not necessarily 2 world beaters, but you had the 3-7 Lions going up against the 2-8 Chicago Bears playing in Champaign, Illinois, not at Soldier Field because it was being repaired in 2002. But when I pick the worst coaching decision, I actually want to pick the worst coaching decision. I don't care about the stakes. I don't care about what's on the line. I just want to go purity when it comes to the worst. And nothing was worse than what Marty Mornwig did with the Detroit Lions.
Paul Edinger, the kicker, ties it at 17, and we go to overtime. Now pay attention. Detroit wins the toss. They give the Bears the ball. Detroit takes the win. 3 running plays, 40-yard field goal. Edinger, good. The Lions win the toss but never get the ball. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
You just wonder what the situation had to be with the wind in order for you to give that ball away. I would think that you'd be looking at a snowstorm or wind 40 miles an hour before you give that ball away.
Shout out to Chris Berman and Tom Jackson.
Man, that just took me back.
Legendary duo. They were doing NFL primetime trying to figure out what happened. So the Lions won the coin toss to go in overtime.
And this is
the
sudden death
yes. era.
This is not what it's like now.
Where the first score wins.
Yeah.
And head coach Marty Mornwig decided
defer.
We're going to give Chicago the ball because we want the wind. And then the Lions never got the ball back. The Bears drove the ball down the field, kicked a chip shot field goal, and won the game. You won the coin toss and gave the ball away and deferred in a sudden death. It just does not get worse than that when it comes to coaching. Marty Mornwig may not have ever went 0-16, but stuff like this is why he's the worst Lions coach ever and why this is the worst coaching decision ever.
All right, we're talking about the Great Debate Series, so we do it Wednesdays at this time. Today we are doing the worst coaching decision of all time.
Poor Marty. First of all, people think that Marty went 0-16. It was Marinelli, right?
Exactly.
But Marty didn't win many more. Remember Marty Mornwig? Do you guys remember Marty Mornwig when he got the job, showed up on a motorcycle and drove it onto the field? He's like, this is going to be different for Detroit. Apparently not. And by the way, I'm more comfortable saying it's the worst coaching decision of all time than he's the worst Lions coach, because that's an even tougher competition.
That'll be next week's Great Debate.
Yeah, and that is a wide open field. But I remember that, and anytime you get a Boomer and Tom Jackson highlighted, it's good.
Tej. Okay, Pete, worst coaching decision of all time is what?
Well, an honorable mention goes to Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell should have an award named after him for that performance in the NFC Championship game. So whoever is the worst in this whole list gets a Dan Campbell award as far as I'm concerned. But mine goes back to one of the most infamous calls in World Series history.
5-5 in a delirious 10th inning. Can you believe this ball game at Shea?
Oh, brother.
3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Red Sox manager John McNamara decided not to make a defensive substitution in that World Series for Bill Buckner. Dave Stapleton was the defensive substitution usually for the Boston Red Sox, but John McNamara wanted his guys on the field and used his heart and not his head in that game, and it cost him the World Championship.
Yeah. Also, Schiraldi, right? It wasn't that a big mistake too?
Schiraldi, that was a big problem. He had a horrible World Series, but that was the icing on the cake.
Yeah. All right. Worst coaching decisions of all time, Bogish.
Well, Maggie, I'm going to follow your lead and attack one of EJ's favorite teams. This time it's the Soviet Union hockey team.
What?
No. The Miracle on Ice back in 1980 wasn't maybe going to be a miracle until Russia, the Soviet Union, they changed goalies. They took out Vladislav Tretiak after the first period of a 2-2 game, put in the backup, and he's the guy that gave up this.
U.S. team is depending a little bit too much now on Jim Craig. He's making too many good saves. Erozione! Mike Erozione!
It was 2-2 after one, and those 2 goals were too much for Viktor Tikhonov. So he takes out Tretiak, he puts in Vladimir Mishkin, and Mishkin gives up 2 third-period goals, and the Soviet Union loses.
Man, I got to be honest, I never think about this from the Soviet Union side.
This is very unexpected, and I'm very excited about this. I never thought about this.
The Soviet Union coach is the Kyle Shanahan of Russian hockey coaches.
Yes, I mean, he was resting Tretiak for the gold medal game.
Bad enough that he got sent to Siberia afterward. Now he's showing up on a list of the worst coaching decisions.
And we never saw that man again.
We laugh. We laugh.
I know. I actually shouldn't joke about that.
Who knows? Wow.
We'll be sent to Siberia just for joking about it.
I remember saying at the time, Michigan doesn't have the stuff tonight. He's off. Even though the game wasn't even televised.
Everyone was saying it. Twitter was crazy after that game.
The other goal, he let up 2 goals, though. Right?
Yeah, but he let the deciding goals. I mean, the bigger issue probably is that they didn't score after the first period, the Soviet Union, but they took out who was the world's best goaltender at that point. Took him out for 2 goals in the first period for no reason.
Wow. All right, so there you have it. The great debate today, the worst coaching decisions of all time. Again, we're not saying Kyle Shanahan is in this group. We're just saying loosely based on the news today. So quickly go around the horn again. I'm going to say it's Mario Cristobal not kneeling out the game when we obviously know this is, in modern football, this is all written out for you. It's pre-scripted.
Yeah.
Kneel down. They lost to Georgia Tech. He did it again when he was at Oregon against Stanford. Yes.
Yeah, I went with Pete Carroll throwing the ball instead of running it at the goal line in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and the Seahawks lose.
I went with Marty Morenwig taking the win and giving the Bears the ball in a sudden death overtime, and the Lions lose.
Not subbing out Buckner in 86.
And the worst goaltending change in hockey history.
Amazing. What an eclectic poo-poo platter of choices we have there. So you can go to @Maggie and Pearl if you want to leave the worst coaching decisions of all time. You're welcome to weigh in. We've got some honorable mentions here.
And I know, Maggie, you like to win this competition, but Pete wins this. The McNamara decision is one of the worst calls ever, is the worst call ever. When you factor in the Red Sox and the curse and the drought, and they were that close to winning, that's one of the worst calls ever.
Okay.
Wait.
Yes.
Are we so sure that he was close? Did he actually have to think about it? Am I going to pull Buckner?
Yes,
I don't
he
remember.
always took Buckner out.
Okay.
Yes.
So this was something that was a thing.
He wanted him to be in the game for the final out. He wanted him to be able to celebrate on the field of them winning the World Series.
Wow.
So he left him
I
in
did
the
not
game.
know that.
Now, the game's tied already, and I swear that Mookie Wilson beats Buckner to the base, even if Buckner fields the ball correctly. But Buckner's out there.
No replay then, though. I mean, that just would have been a bang-bang call.
But Buckner's out there. Ball goes through his legs. Ray Knight scores. Mets win Game 6. Then they win Game 7.
And Buckner could not move.
Yeah, he was hurt.
He could not move at all.
So there's there's almost like a category here. And again, on Wednesdays, we do the great debate series. So today is the worst coaching decisions of all time. There is like a category of managers, coaches, whatever, believing in their guys or wanting to do it for personal reasons or stuff like that. So, one thing we did not name was Grady Little leaving in Pedro Martinez. Now, this is what it sounded like. We do have the highlight of this one against the Yankees in the 2003 ALCS.
With 115 pitches on the night, Grady Little is going to stick with his starter. Ripped into the right field corner fair. Bernie Williams will dig. It's a ground rule double. It's second and third. A flare into center field. Out is Walker, won't get it. The base running of Matsui. He comes home. Nobody covers second. Tie game.
Yes.
This one's tough to beat. I'm surprised it didn't make the list. Maybe that should have been mine over the Soviet Union hockey team. Because this is like 4 bad decisions. The initial one, and then after the first 3 hits, leaving Pedro out there to give up a 4th hit and lose the lead.
And you wonder why all of a sudden, there are moments, right, that change sports. Like, I think the miracle at the Meadowlands led to now coaches kneeling down and that being a play. You think about analytics in baseball, there's tons of reasons why analytics are now infiltrated and flooded into that sport. Obviously, Billy Beane. But the fact that Pedro's numbers were so bad the 3rd time through the lineup and Grady Little did not acknowledge that at all. Or was it pitches 90 through 110 or something, and Pedro was bad, and he never looked at that and went with the gut.
And he let him get about 4 hits before taking him out of the game. It's on a lesser scale. It's for us Met fans. It's Terry Collins sending Matt Harvey back, and then letting Harvey get in trouble in the inning.
Right.
Pedro's of 1 double, out he comes.
Brady Little lost his job because of it and led to Terry Francona.
I know. The next year, they won.
Aren't there other instances where they did pull the starter and got killed for it too, though? I mean, hundreds of those where they put in a reliever. Where there was
Kevin Cash with the Rays. He pulled Blake Snell.
When
the 5th inning.
recently, right?
That was 2020.
Yeah. So I don't think it's always obvious. I mean, I think we do. Are we playing the result in those senses?
Well, it's the player talking their way back into the game, or like the player talking their way into staying in the game.
Yeah.
You know,
or the thought process that it's the ace.
Right.
It's the ace. He's my guy. I'm going to go with it.
But there's because of analytics, especially with Steven Strasburg, there was a lot of people getting driven crazy by pulling starters because managers were doing that just on pitch counts. Everybody hates the pitch count.
Yeah,
but it feels the opposite. Clayton Kershaw, yes.
Yeah, it feels like the longer list is guys who were left in and then struggle. Like it didn't. That's the Dusty Baker thing too, right? Leaving Russ Ortiz in or pulling Russ Ortiz. What was I can't remember that.
Well, let's go to Bill is in California calling in on this very topic. Hey, Bill.
Hey. Guys, how you doing this morning?
We're doing great. What's your worst coaching decision of all time?
Heartbreaker that still lives with me to this day. The 2002 World Series, inning 6, Dusty Baker coming out to pull Russ Ortiz and then handing him the ball and walking him off. And we lost a 5-lead run in the World Series.
Brutal. I mean, just brutal. Bill, thank you. I feel bad for people in Northern California who have to relive bad stuff today. We're not doing this, 2 days, 3 days after you lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm seeing one here. The Astros pull Zach Greinke and cost them a game. So you could get killed either way. It's tough. But Grady Little, I thought would make this list too. This is so famous.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, there's more from baseball. We've got a whole bunch. I mean, we've got more football ones for you. We want to hear from you. The worst coaching decision of all time. Again, you can also go to Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. You can leave your comments there. Give us a call. What do you think? Coming up, lots more to do, including more NBA beefs. Yes, please. We'll get you all the details next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great Sports Debate Wednesday. Today's debate, worst coaching decision of all time in any sport. Loosely pegged to Kyle Shanahan taking the ball first in overtime in the Super Bowl. We're not saying that gets on the list by any means, Maggie, because we got all-timers. I went with, of course, Pete Carroll, not handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch and throwing the ball, intercepted. Patriots beat the Seahawks. Maggie?
I went with Mario Cristobal. How you are not kneeling, even if it's a regular season game, it's a mistake he made when he was the head coach at Oregon. To make it again in this modern era, this is not Miracle at the Meadowlands when, before, basically when, you barely had a play clock in the stadium. This is 2023 at the time. You've got to know better. EJ went with an all-timer, too. I mean, this was a game that meant very little. But EJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I went with Marty Morenwig in a game where it was a 3-7 Lions team versus a 2-8 Bears team. He elected to take the wind and give the Bears the ball in a sudden death overtime where first score wins.
Yeah, Pete went with a classic, which at the time, I don't know how much they were talking about it then because 1986, I was 3 years old, but now has been looked at with much different eyes.
Oh, yeah. It was a horribly managed World Series, included by John McNamara, and the icing on the cake was not subbing out Bill Buckner, and it led to a Game 6 loss in the World Series.
And Andrew Bogusch has just reappeared, and this is one you could have given me 1,000 guesses, and I would never have gotten to what Bogusch came up with. What do you have, Bugs?
You want headlines me right now?
No. What was your?
Oh, we're going back through
worst
this.
I got to reset the topic for the new audience.
7-second delay walking into the room. I didn't know where we were.
2,
from
1.
the top. Hey, Maggie. Hey, Perloff. I'm going with the miracle on ice. Russia made a goalie change after the first period, took out the best goalie in the world, and then gave up the 2 goals to lose what was the semifinals of the Olympics, which is coming up. The anniversary is very soon, next week, the 22nd, I think that game was.
Yeah.
Amazing. We got
Actually,
something
I went to talk to Al Michaels about that. The original line, do you believe in miracles, right? Was going to be, do you believe they pulled the goalie?
Can you believe Minch? What was it? Minchie? What was his goalie's name?
They went from Tretiak to Michigan.
Michigan.
Yes.
Can you believe they pulled Michigan?
No, they put Michigan in.
I mean, put in Michigan.
They would never pull Michigan.
Guys, who cares about this from
Michigan to the rescue?
Who cares about this from the Russian side? We have totally forgotten that side of this. Meanwhile, we've already had a couple. The Dusty Baker handing the ball to Russ Ortiz in the 2002 World Series, which is an interesting one because
pulling Russ Ortiz.
No, but he hands him the ball, which is the controversial part about this. There were a lot of people who thought they were just trying to give him a rest and sort of, give Ortiz just a little bit of a breather. And Ortiz hands Dusty Baker the ball, and Dusty Baker hands it back to him, and it was all this confusion. And yes, he did get pulled from the game where he was pitching an all-time game. But that small part of it lives in infamy.
It's funny because it's mentioned, so explain there is a rule that if you give him the game ball, he has to leave. Right, but the actual thing is that Baker said it was at 98 pitches and he just given up 2 singles and thought he was done. So it had nothing to do with the ball in reality.
No,
right?
but that was the part of it that gets remembered, right? As like one of the little small twists in this. We also played for you Grady Little leaving Pedro Martinez in the 2003 ALCS against the Yankees, yes.
Can we put up the poll, which was a bigger mistake, Mario Cristobal blowing the game against Georgia Tech or the Miracle on Ice? And with no context. With no context whatsoever.
But mine's in one of the most significant sporting events ever. Maggie's in a random game in October that nobody remembered by that Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it'll be the most random poll of people. And I'd like to see people say, like, okay. Like, don't give any context as to why we're asking that question.
Mario Cristobal or the Miracle on Ice.
Yeah. And actually, who made and say the Russian coach's name, too.
Victor Tikhonov.
Yes. Bigger mistake. Just put bigger mistake. Mario Cristobal or Victor Tikhonov.
Mario Cristobal, 2024. Victor Tikhonov, 1980.
All right, let's go to the phones. Jamie is in Syracuse. Good morning, Jamie.
Hi, Maggie Perloff. Mine was the 1985 Chicago Bears, even though they won the Super Bowl. Mike Ditka says until the day he dies, he's going to regret giving the Fridge the gimmick touchdown over his sweet Walter Payton.
Jamie, it's a great one. It's a bad decision, but again, they won the game and they're an all-time team that's remembered forever.
It's a tricky one, right? Because it is one of the most notorious coaching decisions of all time. People in Chicago relive that game like it was yesterday because it is the most singular Super Bowl of all time. It's the most talked about Super Bowl of all time, I think, without a doubt, in my mind. And it was a big deal. Our good friend Paul Papps, the Dan Patrick Show, lifelong Bears fan.
Yeah.
You could bring it up right now and he will get mad at you. Because Chicago fans,
they won the game.
I understand, but it was a legacy thing that they gave it to 300-pound Fridge. It was a mistake as you look back on it. Totally different kind of mistake.
Yeah,
there was no Victor Tretiak, but
I mean, nothing is, according to Bogish. 855-212-4CBS. Is this Mike? He's in Boise. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Oh, not much. Just thought I'd share with you that the big mistake all the way around, a worst coaching decision, was Woody Hayes grabbing that player by the throat on the sideline.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it almost feels like a different category. We were talking about like X's and O's strategy, stuff like that. But of course, I mean, Woody Hayes, thank you so much, Mike. Bobby Knight, I mean, all these coaches who have flown off the handle.
Well, I actually think that Woody Hayes one is even better because Bobby Knight had about 8 of those things. I mean, obviously the end thing was that he hit a player.
Yep.
But I think throwing the chair was also infamous. Woody Hayes, it was this one thing derailed one of the great careers in coaching history.
All right, we've got more for you. Can we play a little Jason Garrett? Jason Garrett, 2011, ices his own kicker.
And remember, Calais Campbell has blocked 3 field goals this year. And the kick will not count.
Team timeout. Dallas.
It's Dallas calling the timeout. No good. So Bailey, who kicked a successful 49-yarder, only to have the timeout by Jason Garrett, force him to do it again, misses.
Right. So icing your kicker, Dan Bailey, they end up losing in overtime. So, we've got all types of bad coaching decisions. You're welcome to weigh in. Again, today's great debate, the worst coaching decisions of all time. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Das Vidania.
Guys, not sure you knew. Can I defend myself for a second here?
Yeah.
Just to go pull the curtain back.
No.
When this is presented to me and Pete last night, you guys have all already picked your thing. So we need new ones. Pete beat me, and this is one's on me. Pete beat me to the 86 Mets and Red Sox. So then I've got to figure out what I want to do. And I end up on this. My first choice would have been the Mets thing. Then I would have ended up on what Perloff had. I never would have gotten to Miami and Georgia Tech. But at least
what did I stonewall you from?
Yeah, what did I do? I picked Marty Morningweg.
But Marty Morningweg and my decision, my choice, are on every single top 10 worst coaching lists. So I didn't make this out of nowhere. So leave me alone.
Wait, I think it's awesome because again,
It doesn't feel like that.
I never
cursed at me in Russian.
Sorry, I don't know what I said.
You said goodbye, I think, or thank you. One of those two.
I think
things.
I said thank you.
Yeah.
But what I love about that is I never think about the Miracle on Ice from the Russian side of it because it's always such an American triumph. You don't think about that side, even though there was a documentary about the Russian side.
Yeah,
of it.
I thought it was really cool. I mean,
I love it.
Maggie's just so crazy that anything else on this list is not going to look bad.
Well,
I feel like Maggie's just a personal affront to me, the Miami Hurricane fan on the show.
It's an affront to people everywhere. That's why I said it.
A high-end high school football game means more than Miami, Georgia Tech. This Georgia Tech football we're talking about, right?
That's an affront to EJ.
Oh, come on now.
Georgia Tech oh, come on.
No, there's just okay. The reason why also I went with this Mario Cristobal not nailing the ball down and losing Georgia Tech.
Did you lose money?
No, I would never bet on Miami. What are you crazy?
Oh my gosh, the Miami Strays.
I love my money. The reason why is because the thing about the Pete Carroll one. So I worked with Bart Scott for a long time, and he will always say that Pete Carroll actually made the right play call there. That you pass on second down to run on third down because you don't want to be passing on third down. Yeah. He will always say that was it. And again, he doesn't have a lot of love for. Anyway,
I mean, I love Bart Scott, but there's a reason he was a great NFL linebacker, not an offensive coordinator.
I'm just saying, there's a football way to back up Pete Carroll. I've never agreed with it, but again, he played 11 years in the NFL, and I didn't.
One of my favorite things about the Pete Carroll gaffe is as soon as that game ended or that play happened, Madden was trending because it was just a bunch of people saying that even on Madden, I would have known to run the ball on the 1 yard line.
How about when Marshawn Lynch just walked out of the stadium? It was still like a few seconds left.
I do agree.
Why is he wearing his pads still?
Yeah.
We are playing the result a little bit. If it had worked, I don't think we would have even cared. If he had caught the ball, it'd be one of the great all-time plays in Super Bowl history.
They might be a dynasty. Well, Bogus, you could have also gone with you're a Giants fan.
Yeah.
And Joe Judge, we have this low light. This is really what spelled the end for the Joe Judge era.
At the half. Interesting formation.
I mean, really, you're at the 4-yard line, and you don't feel comfortable enough in your offense to be able to run a traditional play. I mean, I get the first one when you've put yourself kind of backed up inside the 1 yard line.
I mean, this is sad.
I mean, that is just a complete lack of confidence in faith of your offense.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
straight quarterback sneaks from inside the 5.
That one's too mean. If you've lost Chris Myers, you've lost everything. I feel like that game meant less than Miami, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I was about to say Joe Judge. Wow.
Joe Judge got fired off of this, and somehow Mario Cristobal still has a job because he can recruit, I guess.
I feel like from a visual standpoint, this should be very high because having cut these clips and having watched that play again, because I forgot that happened.
Was it Jake Fromm? Who was the quarterback?
Drake Fromm was playing quarterback.
How do I know that?
That can't be the worst decision when they're down to Jake Fromm.
You guys know the NFL's been around for 104 years right now?
3 quarterback kneels, though, when you're down?
This is sad.
Yeah. I mean, bad coaching decision. Yeah.
Bill Belichick put that guy back on his staff.
That means that I kind of get the logic of where Joe Judge was coming from. I think we all do.
It's actually the greatest.
He got fired, but I kind of get it.
The greatest coaching decision of all time.
Yeah.
At least they punted. I guess he got the result he wanted, which was to not even be competitive on that drive. Bogus says headlines. Keep them coming, by the way. Worst coaching decision of all time.
Not sure you guys knew this, but we're still not done with Draymond Green v. Yusuf Nurkic. Draymond.
I'm so with Bilotti on this.
Draymond's
Jeez Louise.
Indefinite suspension this season was the result of striking Nurkic in the head back in December. Their teams were together again over the weekend, and the two guys went back and forth throughout the night. That led Nurkic to say postgame, Green learned nothing during his punishment, so Draymond responded on Draymond's podcast.
No question in my character I thought was whack. But guys are making a habit out of that. Him and Kevin questioned my character before, as if you go question somebody's character about a basketball game as if this not real life, as if that don't affect people's pockets. Like, I think all of it was really cowardly, if you want my honest opinion. Yeah, I did what I did. I take my stuff on the chin. We spoke about that. I still stand on that. I meant every word I said about it. But if you want to know the truth about that, I think all of it's cowardly. I think, you start going to question somebody's character in front of the whole world, it's whack. So I think they all whack, both of them.
Now, Kevin Durant. He and Draymond have not been friends since Golden State. Pete, back to you.
They supposedly patch things up.
Just Pete groaning is going to be the 9 o'clock hour.
Is he in another world?
Yes.
This guy is unbelievable, and how it's tolerated is unbelievable. It just boggles my mind. He went off for sensitivity training because that was apparently the problem. Him windmill and punching people is a sensitivity problem, and we can't question his character. He's had a history of this. This is ridiculous.
Don't be whack, Pete. Don't be like Yusuf Nurkic and Kevin Durant. Question the man's character.
Wait, all right, please.
It's time to play my favorite game, Make Pete Angrier. Draymond also wants kind of credit for the Warriors being good now because he thinks him being off the floor, they learned things about the team while he was gone. Now he's back and they're surging, and he kind of wants flowers for that.
Can we talk about worst contract decisions in the world, giving him another contract? I mean, that's ridiculous. What is he thinking? Really, I want to have what he is consuming.
Yeah.
Every day.
He's from Colorado, Pete.
It must be a whole big thing in one of his 40 rooms in his house.
Is that going to...
A weed room?
He must have a weed room.
A hydroponic room?
Is Draymond going to get a chapter in your 9th book? That's ridiculous.
He'll write the forward. He might be the ghostwriter the way he is.
Can I just tell you, we knew that Pete was going to be agitated today because earlier in the show, just got in my ear during commercial break, was like, I can't believe what the Mets are doing.
Don't get me started on that. But just look at their spring training hats, and that's all you need to know.
This is
oh God.
I knew it was going to be that kind of day.
Yeah, you guys have asked for the Pete scouting report. That's a big time Pete trick. He's having a fight in his head. He brings you in midway through and expects you to be caught up with him.
Oh, like I do to my husband?
Like, so he spent 15 minutes angry at the Mets, and he just brings Maggie, and he needs Maggie to be in lockstep immediately with
like,
what's
wait,
going
what?
on. Yeah. Well, I'm going to need more info, Pete.
The hats are the start of the whole thing with them. But it's just, they didn't do anything in the offseason.
Spring training hats.
I know it was
I
a
don't
reset.
even see the hats. What's going on?
That's exactly my point.
All orange.
They're all orange.
Oh, I thought it's kind of cool.
I feel like there's like 500 more things to be upset about, but I get it.
There are.
I get it.
There's 500 other combinations of hats that you could pick over that just straight orange hat.
I don't want to get caught in the crosshairs. Oh, man.
Anything else Draymond do?
No,
does he want like a contract extension for being a great guy?
No, I think he wants the Nobel Peace Prize.
He said he wanted a phone call from Kevin Durant, by the way. He did also say that.
Just run for president, too, while you're at it.
He is going to be doing he and Shaq, right? EJ are doing a Manning cast like broadcast for the All-Star game this weekend, I believe.
Shaq, please do something else. I mean, I love Shaq. That's the worst. Go find another partner. Come on.
How about, we said that Draymond might have a weed room. We actually have no idea if he smokes. We know Kevin Durant smokes. He definitely has a weed room.
Yeah, he's a
Letterman, right?
Yeah, he's on Letterman's show. I don't know if it was during the season.
Hot take. These orange hats are cool. What's wrong with these orange hats? They're way better. The normal Mets hat sucks.
Go look at any of these coaches or any of these pitchers that are wearing this orange hat in spring training. It looks bad on the field.
Listen,
I mean, if you wear it like a oh, hey, I'm going to wear it out and going to dinner or something, that's fine. But like playing
you want to go to a restaurant and ask how their seasonings are in an orange hat?
Because there's nine on the field at one time. Is this too much orange?
I'm not saying you're wearing it to Del Frisco's. I'm wearing it to like maybe Applebee's or something.
Do you want to know how little faith I have in the New York Mets? I'm surprised they're not the stupid big hats that they're wearing, or some kind of anomaly.
By accident,
9 people wearing the massive hats.
David Wright wore those hats once. Remember that famous David Wright picture?
I know, because he was recovering from a concussion.
Yeah. He really started the trend.
A little different. 855-212-4CBS. All right, great debate series today. What makes Pete the angriest? No, great debate series today. Worst coaching decisions of all time.
That's ridiculous.
All of it.
The best
all of it. Wait, Draymond Green, orange hats,
Green, orange
Bad coach
hats.
decisions.
What is all of it
Dan
contain?
Campbell.
Mets off season.
All of it is pretty self-explanatory.
Analytics too. They're really bothering me today because analytics. Kyle Shanahan hides behind analytics, right? He hides behind the analytics.
He didn't even use the analytics.
No,
He should've.
he's hiding. You're
He's
right.
hiding behind the analytics for his terrible preparedness for his team in the Super Bowl.
Right with Pete on this one. he said he talked to the analytics people and just backing the bus right over the analytics people.
No accountability whatsoever. Zero accountability. And this guy is always getting touted as the best coach. And, he's such a great offensive genius. He's a great offensive coach. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe win a Super Bowl before we start talking about that.
So would you say the Niners
All of it.
are losers?
They're losers. They are. They're losers.
Is there one team that isn't a loser?
Yes, the Kansas City
Chiefs. Then 31 losers.
Right. Exactly.
That's
So-
called
You're getting
Bilotti
it.
math. It's new math.
So how many?
31 losers.
So basically, college basketball has like 150 teams in D1. Are they 149 losers?
That's right. When we have the field of 68, 67 losers, and one winner. National
that.
champions.
Take that, Chanticleers. You're
Right.
losers.
Chanticleers.
Duke got bounced in the first round a few years ago. Losers.
Take that, Jackrabbits.
So Fairleigh Dickinson makes this incredible win, or St. Peter's. Those are losers.
Yeah, because they didn't win.
Out of here.
I know they technically didn't win. Princeton made the Sweet 16 last year as a 15 seed. Losers.
You're supposed to when you get into the tournament, your goal is to win the tournament. So if you don't win the tournament, you are a loser.
Perloff, get with the program.
I'm following this. It makes perfect sense to me.
Guys, get on
the
board.
Old Man and the Muppets.
Yeah. What
do you get for Valentine's Day?
EJ.
It'll involve soup.
Bilotti is having this draw, and the negativity's playing. EJ, who's one of the most positive people we know, is becoming kind of negative.
EJ is very positive, but again, a Jets fan, a Mets fan. Lately, the Miami Hurricanes, it's bound to get him at some point.
Yeah. And Bilotti is actually pushing him over the edge.
You guys are codependent.
Well, because I had never seen a championship of any of my teams. In 1986, I was one.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was great when Fairleigh Dickinson won, but I guess they had a loser NCAA tournament run.
FAU all the way to the Final Four last year.
Yeah.
Shut up, Owls.
If they were any good, they would win.
Do you remember those losers at UMBC became the first 16 team to win and beat a number one seed?
Leave me alone.
Losers.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter because they didn't walk away with the title.
That's right.
Yeah. No, of course.
George
Imagine that
Mason,
story if they
big
won-
losers.
Imagine that story if they won the title. I mean, it would be even better.
855-212-CBS. And that concludes Pete's TED Talk.
That would have been a good story if a 16 seed had won the whole tournament. You're right. Probably would have made some lists.
Want some guys won me some money, probably.
855-212-4227. Great debate question. The worst coaching decisions of all time. Coming up, this is maybe a bad decision, but it's more coming from the front office. We'll tell you what's on tap next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. On Wednesdays around here, we do the Great Debate Series. Today is the worst coaching decision of all time. It's loosely based off Kyle Shanahan. No one's saying he made the worst decision, but it's one we're going to be talking about for a long time. Andy is in Michigan, has got a candidate for us. Good morning, Andy. How are you?
Doing pretty good, guys. You doing good?
We're doing great. What's the worst coaching decision of all time, in your opinion?
So, first of all, I loved the Marty Morning leg. That was the first one that came to my mind, being a Lions fan.
EJ just fist bumped in the control room. That was his.
Yeah. So my other favorite one, this is going back in Matt Stafford's rookie season. So Matt Stafford throws a heave at the end of the game, gets pummeled, separates his shoulder. They're on the 1 yard line. It's a pass interference call. Cleveland somehow, so Matt Stafford has to come out of the game. Cleveland somehow calls a timeout. Stafford comes back in the game, throws a winning touchdown, wins the game.
Oh, my gosh. I don't remember this one.
Feels like we do a whole segment on Cleveland decisions probably at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many years to choose from there.
Okay, I'm just going back to the box score right now. Andy, thank you so much for the call. That's a fun one. Yep, the Lions won the game 38-37. Let's see what else I can get for you here. Oh, guess who was the quarterback for the Browns? I'll give you a hint. We were just broadcasting next to him for an entire week in Las Vegas. Brady Quinn. Did have a bad game. He went 21 for 33, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns with no picks. That was a good game for Brady Quinn.
I think I watched this game. Like, I don't know why, but I definitely don't know why. But I think I remember all of this happening. It was, it was.
Jamal Lewis rushed for 75 yards in that game. Let's see. Muhammad Massaquoi had 115 receiving yards that game.
Mo Mass.
There you
Rutgers.
go.
Yeah, I mean.
And Calvin Johnson, of course, with a 161-yard game. As usual for Megatron.
You guys remember the James Harrison Muhammad Massaquoi hit?
Oof.
When he bent him in half.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that might have ended his career or came close to it.
And, okay, so quickly here, we don't really have a lot of time to get to this one, but keep them coming in terms of the worst coaching decisions of all time. There might be a bad front office decision coming, Perloff, and it's going to be one of the stories of the offseason. Would the Chicago Bears keep Justin Fields and also draft Caleb Williams, number 1 overall?
Well, is there a possibility that the Bears are putting that out there because they want to create a market for Justin Fields? And I think that sort of increases their leverage by saying, hey, we're okay with keeping this guy, so give us a second-round pick. Is it possible that we're being manipulated? Because I've seen a lot of reaction to this, and nobody's in favor of it. Because what's your goal if you have Justin Fields? It's not Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs had Alex Smith, drafted Patrick Mahomes, sat him for a year. Justin Fields is 24 years old. So it's a totally different situation. My first thought is, they're using Schefter, who said in the pregame show, for leverage.
Yeah, I mean, I think you smoked this one out perfectly. I think you're absolutely right, because I don't think there's a person on earth who believes this. They're going to have to do something else to try to get leverage if they want it for Justin Fields, or you just go with like a comp. Like the Jets got a second-round pick and a 4th for Sam Darnold, who was kind of in a similar situation with the Panthers. Can't you just hope for a second-round pick and call it a day?
Well, yeah. Here's one scenario. What if they can't get the second-round pick? There is a chance this does happen. If they can't get a trade for Justin Fields, then both guys could be there. Although it is draft season, so everyone's killing Gale. Have you seen the anti-Caleb Williams smoke out there? Merrill Hodge came out against him the other day, and who's been very accurate. So who knows what's going to happen? Are we convinced that Justin Fields is going to be gone and Caleb Williams is going to be the quarterback?
I am.
Yeah, me too.
I'm staying the course on this one. It's going to be Caleb.
Yeah, I am totally with you.
And Justin Fields will be Pittsburgh. There we go. Okay, lots more to do, including going back over Kyle Shanahan's decision-making with a Super Bowl winning head coach. Brian Billick joins us next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Oh, do you feel better or worse about Kyle Shanahan's decisions in overtime now that we've gotten more of an explanation from the Super Bowl runner-up?
Okay. Kyle Shanahan explained his decision yesterday, said he talked to the analytics department, said that he informed the position coaches and told them to tell the players. Now, maybe this is window dressing, but I do think he's saving himself legacy-wise just a little bit. I think in time, we're going to forgive him for this. I think it'll go down as a mistake, but I don't think it's going to be the defining story of the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to be the Super Bowl where Shanahan made the mistake in overtime.
Okay, I think there's a lot of reasons why the 49ers lost the game. I think the one we will point to as a sort of shorthand will be Shanahan in overtime. But that's what you and I think. Let's get the thoughts of a Super Bowl winning head coach, and that is Brian Billick, who is joining us on behalf of Signal Relief, and we'll get to that in a moment. Coach, thanks so much for the time. Good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
Okay, so let's unpack the Super Bowl a little bit. You were watching, obviously. Kyle Shanahan's decision in overtime to take the ball with the new rules, is that the decision you would have made if you were in his shoes?
Well, it's always debatable. The question becomes, and it's not one that you can say, okay, we're going to go into the game, and if this comes up, we're going to do this or that. It really has to do with the flow of the game, how your defense is playing. You know, the way the defense has played, for me, I always was going to want to kick off. Why? Because I had great defenses. And the thought being, they'll back up, they'll 3 and out, I'll get better field position. With the two offenses they had and the way the offenses performed, particularly in the second half, you can make the case, you know what, I believe we can move the ball. And in fact, they did, except for coming up short in the red zone. That really is the difference in the game. I mean, you can look at the turnover down deep, and both of them did that. But really it came down to the 49ers got down to the 5-yard line, couldn't punch it in, had to settle the field goal. Kansas City was able to go the length of the field and gain 9 more yards, which was into the end zone. So I think the decision is do we take the ball, do we not take the ball, is one. There's a lot of factors that go into it. And as we always talk about, in hindsight, if it worked and you won, you did the right thing. If you didn't, then you're wrong and you did the wrong thing. But I think the fact that they took the ball, they drove the length of the field, and were in position to finish the game out right then and there tells you that it potentially could have been the right decision.
Coach, so the Chiefs players said that they were well aware of the new overtime rules, and they talked about it going even back to the previous summer, and the Niners players obviously were later to it. Is that a lack of preparation on the Niners front? I mean, obviously you can't prepare for everything, but do you say that, man, maybe they should have talked about this with the players beforehand because it's a different set of overtime rules in the playoffs?
I think that's a little bit of the victor gets to write the history. Oh yeah, of course we covered that. Oh, sure we did. At some point, yes, you do. Now, did they cover it that week prior to the game? Who knows? There's a lot of things to cover. And the fact that the 49ers players did indeed think, well, the quarter's going to run out, and that affects where, not knowing that particularly in that environment, that no, this is basically like the end of the first quarter. It's going to continue on. Certainly was a mistake. Was it covered? Was it not covered? I think to some degree that's players doing what players do, which is, I confess he did it.
Yeah, I like it. Coach, you were obviously at the Super Bowl in 2000. Your Ravens beat the Giants. How is it different for a coach? How is a Super Bowl different than even another playoff game? I would imagine you got to feel the pressure, even in your game where you were up. Can you really coach your game in the Super Bowl like you would in a normal game?
Well, you have to. If you start, you have to stick with the process, particularly the process that gets you there. I mean, we talked about last week, your number one job during the week of the Super Bowl is to create as much normalcy for your players as you can in an environment that is anything but normal in terms of meetings, practice time, and making them understand, look, you don't need to add any pressure to the game and alter what you do simply because the outcome is so dramatic. You could make the case that particularly in playoff games, it's equally as important because you don't even get to the Super Bowl unless you handle the pressures and do what you need to do during the course of the playoffs and even during the regular season. So, no, I think you work very hard to make sure the players understand, once the ball's kicked off, this is like any other game we've played. Certainly the consequences are different, and there's no denying that, but you want the players to be as comfortable as they can to perform at their best without adding that pressure of, oh, my God, if I make a mistake here, we lose the Super Bowl.
Brian Billick is joining us on behalf of Signal Relief. Get to that in a moment. What do you think Kyle Shanahan's biggest regret from the Super Bowl is, Coach?
Oh, there's a million things. There's decisions, play calls that you make, and there's always a lot of them. Obviously, there's the things you can't control, obviously, the turnovers to Christian McCaffrey fumbling and going off that player's foot on the punt. You coach and you work, and nobody intends for that to happen. It's the flow of the game. It happens. And then the penalty, the killer penalty, that when they're driving the length of the field, I mean, they're going to score and the game's going to be over. And they get the holding penalty. And it was kind of a dumb holding penalty. It was understandable, anytime you're blocking and you think the play's going inside and then it goes outside and the player starts to leave you, it's kind of instinctive to want to grab on. But that was pretty blatant. Those are regrettable. But that's the flow of the game, and it is what it is. Is it play calling, as you got down once you got the penalty, and is there a different play you might have called? you can second guess yourself that until the cows come home. At the end of the day, they were in a position to win the game and came up a goal line or a red zone series short, where Patrick Mahomes does what Patrick Mahomes does and drove the length of the field and scored.
You know, we keep on talking about Kyle Shanahan. On the other side of the ball, Andy Reid, for a long time, for 14 years, came close but not quite in Philadelphia. Did Andy Reid change anything when he got to Kansas City and started winning 3 Super Bowls? Was he a different coach in some ways, or was it just different personnel that kind of got him over the hump?
Well, and you give Andy great credit. Yeah, he did change. He changed the fact that he had Patrick Mahomes. And they recognized, oh, this guy is special, and so here's the things we need to do. What we did when Donovan McNabb was quarterback fit Donovan McNabb. But the things that you're doing and then when you had Alex Smith, the things they did fit Alex Smith. It would have been ludicrous to run the plays that Patrick Mahomes is running when you had Alex Smith. Likewise, it would be very limiting and a mistake to run the offense that you had with Alex Smith for Patrick Mahomes. So you got to give Coach Reid a great deal of credit. Yes, it always comes down to personnel, okay? And that's the end of the day. Bill Belichick all of a sudden now is not a good coach because he couldn't win without Tom Brady. Yeah, it is definitely comes down to personnel. But Andy Reid deserves a great deal of credit for fashioning an offense that platforms each of his quarterback's abilities, and that's the sign of a good coach, adapting what you do based to the talents of your number one player.
Well, I mean, I think you can speak to this too, because you had in Minnesota this high-flying offense, and you had to change your style in Baltimore. Do you see a similar thing with Andy Reid this year, because the defense was such a strength of the team?
That and the fact that they ran the ball better. You know, they recognized, okay, we don't have a Tyreek Hill. We don't have that magical combination of the constant vertical with Kelsey and Hill and down the field. So our personnel has changed, even though we got the same quarterback, and he's going to make certain things happen. And we have the chance with that offensive line and a physical, not just a good running attack, but a physical running attack of Isaiah Pacheco to go with that defense. You know, if you play great defense, it's usually because you run the ball as well. It's hard to play good defense when you're with, teamed with a high-flying offense, which is great, scores a bunch of points, but that means your opponent has to get up and down the field more and be more vertical and do those types of things. So, yes, there again, it's an example of Andy Reid adapting what they do to say, okay, this is what we were to win it last year, but now we're better on defense. We have the ability to be a more physical running game. I don't have quite the same vertical elements, so we're going to play good defense, run the ball, still put the ball down the field, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but certainly the personnel. And it took a little while. By the first quarter of the season, we're going, you know what, this isn't the same Kansas City team. And we're a little bit critical of it. They had to morph into understanding, okay, this is the personality of what we are, and then got on a run and won a Super Bowl playing to the strength of that.
Brian Billick joining us, Super Bowl winning head coach, of course, on behalf of Signal Relief. Ask you about that in a moment. Coach, the cameras caught Travis Kelce very frustrated with Andy Reid. Now, that's not, unusual. We see coaches and players go at it a lot, but bumping Andy Reid to the point where Reid almost said he got blindsided, maybe almost knocked him over. I mean, You're watching that and you're thinking what as a former head coach?
I'm thinking that had to be a heck of a hit because Andy Reid's no small man. I mean,
that's obvious, yeah.
To knock Andy Reid down. The emotion of the game, and that's what Travis Kelce was. And Andy and Travis have dealt with that, I'm sure, the entire time that they're there. Whatever the frustration was because he wasn't in or whatever, that happens on the sideline.
Did that cross the line, though, Coach? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did it cross the line?
Yeah, anytime you bump in and then you physically assault somebody like that. Yeah, but it happens, and you deal with it, and I'm sure it's nothing for them right now going forward. Had they lost the game, we'd be making much more of it, and that this was a sign of the fraction, and but they didn't. And so, it's obviously through the lens of, we scuffle at times, and we fight, and we scrimmage, and we this, that, and the other, and I don't think they think it's any big deal, so I don't know that we should.
Coach, joining us on behalf of Signal Relief right now. You got a promo code going on. How has Signal Relief changed your life?
Amazing product. Technologies, and particularly in sports medicine, have just absolutely exploded, and this is one of them. Signal Relief is a standalone patch. There's no ointments. There's no you don't put anything in your body. There's no electrical outlets. You literally put this patch where you need it, and it blocks the signals, because pain is nothing more than a signal, electrical signal in your body to your brain. We say put this between the pain and the brain. It blocks and mitigates that signal. That allows you then to do the things. That's where the real healing comes from, to continue to work the joints, continue to work the muscle. Signalrelief.com, put in promo code COACH, you get 20% back. This thing is reusable up to a year, very affordable. You put it where you need it, and it's 100% money back guaranteed if it doesn't work, but it will. Signalrelief.com.
Coach, thank you. Last question for you. Now, we do something on Wednesdays here called the Great Debate Series, and it's loosely based on the news. And today we're talking about the worst coaching decisions of all time. Now, we're not saying Kyle Shanahan made one of those decisions. Again, loosely based on the news. Now, we got a lot of really good options here. Everything from Grady Little leaving Pedro Martinez in a game to Mario Cristobal from college not taking kneel downs, losing to Georgia Tech, to the Red Sox leaving Bill Buckner in the game at first base, to Pete Carroll not calling a run at the goal line for Marshawn Lynch and instead of passing the ball. I mean, you are a connoisseur here of coaching, and this has been your life's work. Is there a worst coaching decision of all time that comes to mind for you?
Oh, my God. There are so many there that you'd like to come back. The one I always bring up, and it obviously ended up brilliantly, but it goes to the point that we made earlier, that these terrible coaching decisions are viewed through the prism of hindsight of whether they worked or didn't. I thought Sean Payton's onside kick in the Super Bowl, because they got it, was hailed as one of the great, gutsy, brilliant calls of all time. If they had not gotten that and given Peyton Manning a short field, then you'd have been talking about the worst coaching decision in the history of football. I always look at it through that lens right there. To that degree, God, I could write. Maybe I will. I need to write a book on the stupid coaching decisions I made that ended up not working.
Well, this was not in any way inspired by you, Coach. You're a Super Bowl winning head coach. You did not make our list, so just so you know.
Okay, well, you didn't dig deep enough.
Well, we're happy to write the forward of your book if you ever do write that one.
Right.
Appreciate it again on behalf of Signal Relief. Brian Billick, thank you for the time, Coach.
All right. Sure thing.
Appreciate that. It's so funny. And also, I mean, Sean Payton had a lot of success in New Orleans, but to do the onside kick again when he got to Denver, I hated that move that he tried to recreate it this past season with the Broncos. He's right. You play the process and not the results.
I mean, truer words.
Oh, man.
Truer words have never been spoken that we view the result. I mean, let's face it, for some reason, Bosa turns another way and sacks Mahomes on 4th and 1, and they win the game. No one's talking about Kyle Shanahan. Everyone's talking about that another mistake. Andy Reid, by the way, bungled about 9 things in the second half of this game.
The early timeout.
And we're not. The fact that he didn't spike the ball when even Tony Romo knew he should have spiked the ball. Listen, there were a lot of things. It's very true. You do agree that we view it from the prism of what happened.
Okay, yes, but that's why I think my selection.
Wait, if that running back had not fumbled.
No, I'm just saying.
Actually, was it a time? What happened?
No, it was how do you mess up victory formation? See, that's the thing.
Well, if he hadn't fumbled, though, there's no way it makes a list.
No, but even, again, process over results, there's just no reason to ever be handing the ball off there at all, because all you have to do, that your opponent has no timeouts, you just have to go in victory formation.
Right.
Running a play was the problem.
But it certainly wouldn't make your list, and it's the same decision. And it wouldn't even been on anyone's list.
But nobody does that anymore, let alone Mario Cristobal, who did it twice.
Right. But you see what I'm saying? There's never talked about at all. By the way, if for some reason Malcolm Butler hadn't practiced that play,
right,
and the Seahawks had thrown a touchdown, Pete Carroll doesn't make the list. It's never mentioned. Never even crosses anyone's mind.
But anyway, that's how it goes. I like that from Brian Billick because it was one that was successful with the Sean Payton onside kick in the Super Bowl, but it was so gutsy. I mean, he's right. You give Peyton Manning a short field. What do you think he's going to do with it?
There's a lot of time left in the game, and we don't know exactly how they wouldn't have decided the game necessarily.
Maybe not, but it's such a low percentage play in onside kick.
Back then it was a little higher than it is now.
That's true, a little higher, but
and also they caught him off guard, so that made it even higher percentage.
Well, that was the brilliance of it. People thought is that no one would expect you to do an onside kick coming out of halftime of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not sure I totally agree that would have been the game. Anyway, regardless, that is a good one. I like this idea that we could go through a million bad decisions. That didn't end up costing him and therefore are nowhere near the list.
I know. Meanwhile, should we go back through Brian Billick's history? I felt like that was a challenge. Nothing came to mind. 855-212-4CBS. We appreciate the coach joining us. 855-212-4227.
Did that Super Bowl team go 5 games without an offensive touchdown or something crazy?
Yeah, some guy was sitting on his roof and he wouldn't leave until they scored a touchdown.
Yeah, so there were probably some. But by the way, smart as you look at it now, but to not have an offense could have been criticized.
Well, one decision that does get criticized from Billick, and maybe it's more him, Ozzie Newsome, whole team, is
going away from Dilfer.
Yeah, getting rid of Dilfer and going to Elvis Gerback, who was always a scrub.
Yeah, I mean, he had the big arm, right? I mean, I guess it's funny because I think that is more of a front office thing. But again, yeah, Billick was the offensive coordinator and not the offensive coordinator. He was the offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I think he called plays.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and he was definitely the play caller when the Vikings lost that game to the Falcons, and that was a disaster. In '98, Randy Moss's rookie year, that's one of the worst. I mean, that was a juggernaut of a team that lost to a much worse team.
They should have won that year.
They should have won that year, and Billick was part of that. He was Kyle Shanahan to that team.
And I think that
he's going to regret joining us on this day.
Yeah, I know, right? Now we're thinking about all his worst decisions. I really feel like that would have been maybe the greatest Super Bowl ever if we got that game. Vikings versus Broncos trying to repeat. That Vikings team was unbelievable. Like,
Randy Moss ran it.
Yeah.
Was that Randall? That was Randall,
Randall
right?
Cunningham playing quarterback, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Robert Smith at running back. I mean, they just rewrote the history books when it came to offense. And the fact that we didn't get them versus that Broncos team that was trying to repeat.
Was it Chris Chandler? Who was the...
Chris Chandler was playing quarterback for the Falcons.
Right.
They had the Dirty Bird, Jamal Adams.
Yeah. No, Jamal, not Jamal Adams.
No, Jamal Anderson.
Jamal
I'm sorry.
Anderson.
Yeah, not Jamal Adams.
That Viking team might be one of the best ever to not win.
Well, maybe that will be next week's great debate.
Ooh.
And then
or we
to
do the
blow
multiverse tomorrow.
But that was on a lot of bad coaching decisions, right? Because they could have been more aggressive to get Gary Anderson closer, but Gary Anderson never missed. And
they also played for overtime.
They got
the ball back. And instead of actually trying to score in regulation, they were like, we'll just play for overtime.
Poor Billick.
Sorry, Brian.
That Super Bowl should have been really Vikings-Jets. Jets had a first-half lead in that game against Denver.
Yeah, they
It would
did.
have been the Parcells-Jets against the Vikings.
Yeah, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, I can't go Vikings-Broncos would have been one of the great all-time Super Bowls
It would have been a
because
fun Super Bowl.
I feel like if Cowboys-Steelers is iconic. I don't know. Vikings-Broncos, those two teams don't really fit together.
No, but think of the players
think
in
about
there.
those players and those teams particularly.
Yeah.
Like that Broncos team, the second year, the first year they kind of were like a little engine that could. That second year, they were on fire. And then you had, Jets went 13-3 and still with the 2 seed. They couldn't even get a home game because how good I think they were 14-2 that year, the Broncos. And you had a 15-1 Vikings team with Randy Moss, again, rewriting the history books. That would have been an absolute banger, and it's a shame we didn't get it.
It was as good as the Brett Favre Broncos game?
Yeah. Because that other Broncos team, that Broncos team wasn't as good.
Yeah.
This Vikings team was better than that Packers team, and I love that Packers team.
855-212-4CBS.
It was 15-1.
More great debates being spawned from this one. 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, a big question off of this Super Bowl has nothing to do with Kyle Shanahan's coaching and has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid's legacy. We'll get to that next. It's the one thing no one's talking about. Right here, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie, we were disappointed last week. I'm going to be honest about this. The NBA trade deadline was a dud. But maybe we have some intrigue now. Woj dropped a little Valentine's Day morning Woj bomb with the help of Ramona Shelburne. Guess who called the Lakers to get LeBron James? The Golden State Warriors. Now, that would have been a trade for the century. The Warriors made a last-second push, according to Woj and Ramona, to get LeBron James, and they were told that the Lakers are not interested in moving LeBron James. Apparently, Joe Lacob reached out to Jeannie Buss. Mike Dunleavy Jr. got involved, the GM of the Warriors. And I think Rich Paul told the Lakers that LeBron is happy. Come on, give us something. How exciting would that have been? I'm excited, and it didn't even happen.
No, see, this is the kind of thing that gives LeBron James haters even more fuel.
Why?
Because LeBron puts it out there before the trade deadline, hourglass emoji out of sand. You know, implying that maybe he's not happy with the Lakers, right? And he does this passive-aggressive stuff all the time. Maybe it's our fault because we react to it, but he knows he's going to get a reaction out of it, and that's why the Warriors even thought to call the Lakers, is because they thought LeBron James publicly being, sort of maybe unsettled would open the door for a potential trade. And now LeBron gets to come out days later and say, no, I was never interested. You got Draymond Green and Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob, and you had everyone fawning over me and chasing me to try to get this blockbuster deal done. But I stiff-armed you and said, no, thanks, I'm going to stay with the Lakers. This is the kind of stuff that LeBron haters, this is like catnip for them.
What are you even talking about?
That's what happened
You're
here.
7 layers deeper than what actually happened here. The Warriors are obviously about a 500 team. The Lakers are about a 500 team. And everyone knows LeBron and Curry are in love. Why not make that call and try and add
No,
LeBron?
you can. But can I get you to read you this sentence? Who do you think this came from? Armed with the encouragement of Warrior star Draymond Green, Golden State owner Joe Lacob, reached out to Lakers-only Jeannie Buss to inquire whether James' apparent public frustration could be interpreted as an opening to discuss a trade, sources say.
So why is it LeBron? I don't understand. LeBron haters are going to use this as fuel for what?
Because this is the LeBron passive-aggressive thing, right? This is him sending a message to the front office before the trade deadline, do something. And I think he loves the fact that the Warriors called about him. Like, thinking, listen, he's still playing at this all-world level just so LeBron can stiff-arm them and be like, no, I want to stay with the Lakers. I'm telling you, I think this is annoying from LeBron. To be honest.
This isn't LeBron. The Warriors owner picked up the phone and called Jeannie Buss and said, hey, can we get LeBron?
Why do you think they were even thought LeBron would be available?
Who cares? The point is it was Joe Lacob's decision. LeBron had nothing to do with this except that he said, I'm happy in L.A. I want to stay here.
Exactly. It's not Joe Lacob's decision. It was LeBron's decision to turn them away and say no thank you.
The story is that the Warriors called. This seems like the Warriors had the idea, like, hey, maybe we can get this guy right now. So this isn't a reflection on LeBron to me.
It is. Why did the Warriors even think to pick up the phone?
Who cares? The story is Joe Lacob tried to get LeBron. Wouldn't that have been amazing if LeBron had gone to the Warriors?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about the what if. That's fine. But
Yeah.
the reason why they picked up the phone is not who cares. The reason is because they saw LeBron was publicly frustrated. So LeBron's putting it out there, hey, make a call for me. And it was like a bat signal, and the Warriors took the bait. And then LeBron gets to stiff arm him after the fact and make it look like, and it is his decision that he didn't want to go to San Francisco.
There is some value to him being able to say to the Warriors, a team that has beat him a bunch, the team that has all these rings, thanks, but no thanks, I'm good. There is some value to that.
This takes LeBron Curry, I think, a little bit to a next level. LeBron denying them. And
I think
saying,
it's interesting that in those names listed as the people who said maybe we should call, Steph Curry wasn't among that. I heard Joe Lacob, I heard Draymond Green. I didn't hear Steph Curry saying, hey, pick up the phone and call the Lakers. To me, if LeBron ended up on the Warriors, that would end any discussion about him being the GOAT. You cannot go to the Warriors, the team that beat you a bunch, and try to catch Jordan and win titles and
look
say,
at what it did for Durant.
now I'm the GOAT.
We're still talking about it with Durant.
Yeah, Durant still doesn't get credit. I was trying to tell Perloff how great Durant is. He's like, well, he won with the Warriors. I'm like, well, LeBron does it? Like, come on.
How come the Warriors don't ever get heat for that, by the way? They wanted Durant. Maybe they wanted LeBron. Nobody holds that against them. It's always about the other guys.
Can I ask another question? Can they get LeBron this offseason? Is this a precursor?
Theoretically, yes.
Because I want to see this team. I would love to see LeBron in an incredibly boring NBA season. To get LeBron and Curry might be the best thing that ever happened to the sport.
Do you think they're a winner? Because I don't.
That's interesting.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. See, I see the trade as like from a fantasy basketball, like, ooh, let's get LeBron and Curry go. Both teams right now are stuck a little bit in limbo, right? I don't think anyone thinks they're quite championship teams. So can't they combine forces here?
Well, they're currently in 9th and 10th place in the Western Conference. But yeah, but listen, they're definitely on the ascent. Yeah, maybe I went too many layers deep on this but to me, it feels so like this was never going to happen mid-season. You want to talk about next season? I think for all the reasons you guys are talking about now are the same reasons they're not going to happen in the offseason. LeBron's going to look too much like a ring chaser, and to join Steph Curry will do for LeBron the same thing it did for Durant, which is take Durant down a peg, take LeBron down a peg because you're joining Steph's team.
I mean, Draymond Green had the audacity to talk about how dare Kevin Durant talk to me about character when he won you 2 championships.
That's right.
Like, much as I love Steph Curry, and I say Steph Curry was the MVP of them, like, Draymond Green has 2 more rings because of Kevin Durant, and Draymond has the audacity to be like, Kevin Durant, question my character. My gosh. And you think LeBron's really going to make that decision to go play with those guys? They won't have any gratitude to LeBron winning them more championships.
It's very intriguing. Their last chance for both of them to win rings. You could make that case, and it's probably the best chance for them to win.
For Steph to win a ring and for LeBron to win a ring. Do they need each other?
I think so. I think
Aren't they rivals? Doesn't this cancel each other out?
But you change the makeup a little bit of this team in the offseason and go for another run. I think there's one more run left in them.
Wait,
so
which
now you get Chris
team?
Paul and you get LeBron and Steph Curry all together.
Yeah.
I think
Melo?
LeBron. The reason why he turned this down is because I think LeBron wants Steph to come to him. I think it really
That's
comes
not
down
happening.
to that. It's not, but
It feels more likely that LeBron would go to Golden State, right?
That's definitely the case.
Yeah.
But I think that's why this didn't happen.
I agree with actually something Maggie said. To pull this off in midweek, that if it's true that Joe Lacob called the night before the trade deadline,
It's an invitation.
like that's a gigantic sea change right in the middle of the week. That would have been hard to pull off.
That would have been during Super Bowl week too. Imagine if that happened.
Yeah.
Would LeBron have still come to the game? It's funny because the Warriors, they said, also did have substantive talks on other scenarios, including Alex Caruso and Kelly Olynyk. It's like, which one of these is not like the other? We're going to go for Caruso and Olynyk, and we can't get them. We'll call about LeBron James.
This is like when you're like at the craps table and you put down 10 and then you lose. You're like, oh, let's just throw around 1,000.
I got to tell you, Caruso's defense, there are a lot of teams who want that guy. Caruso's name brought up a lot. There are a lot of teams who want him. But, yeah, this is disappointing, too. A LeBron Warriors the ratings would be enormous. Can you imagine what would happen? It would take over the entire world.
There's another part of this. Daryl Morey, according to this article, also called Rob Pelinka on the Lakers about LeBron James. So he could have been a Philadelphia 76er.
Yeah, Morey calls everybody.
He also called the Suns about Devin Booker and Bradley Beal.
He's like,
Who
give
didn't you
me
call?
all your stars.
Yeah.
He just went down the all-star roster and said, all right, which one of these guys can I pluck away?
But I'd rather have my GM do that than not.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm still watching Kelly Oubre next Tuesday night. So I don't care who you call, Daryl Morey.
Couldn't even get a Linux.
Call Ghostbusters, doesn't matter.
Well, he did get Kyle Lowry at the peak of his career.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is Perloff's wheelhouse, overweight athletes.
Okay.
What do you have to say about Kyle Lowry?
I understand everything you guys are saying about the image of LeBron and legacy, and it's very important. It's a huge topic in sports. But can't we just say for a second, wouldn't that have been awesome as a basketball experiment?
Yes.
To see Steph Curry and LeBron. And don't you, if you guys could have made this happen, would everybody be in favor of the trade? I would.
Yes.
Yes.
Me too.
I'm interested, but I also like them as rivals. So
Same.
I don't know if I want it. We don't have a lot of rivalries left.
But the rivalry's gone. It's dead. It doesn't matter anymore because they're not contenders.
That's never going to die. As someone who was involved, because I'm a Steph Curry stan, it's never going to die.
Well, first of all, you're not involved, EJ. I love you, but you're not involved in LeBron versus Curry.
In the debate and the discussion and the fight that happens on the internet every day. That I am a part of.
As someone who is in the Hamptons, sort of the Hamptons 5, the Hamptons 6.
Wait.
EJ, the forgotten man in the Hamptons.
I'm going to sound ignorant here.
Recruiting Durant.
LeBron Curry, I've understand the debate, but it's not Magic Bird. The dudes that never even match up. Like, there's no way. If they really don't like when the Warriors, when they get Curry switched on LeBron, it's like emergency.
I know, but,
get out.
I know, but how many finals did they meet in?
Let's see.
Was it 5?
I mean, the animosity between Steph Curry fans and LeBron fans is
I think it's
insane.
I mean, that's great, but that's not LeBron and Steph having issues to play against.
But those guys
love each other.
Those guys are two brands, and they understand that.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they have moved the way they've moved in public. Their relationship's gotten a lot better recently.
What? LeBron has openly been wooing Steph Curry for 18 months.
Right.
That's not like Magic Bird.
No, but that's his. But Magic and Bird's relationship got a lot better towards the end too.
They didn't openly try and trade for each other.
Right, it's a different era.
It's not like Jordan trying to get Isaiah.
Yeah. Like Jordan had Isaiah frozen off the Olympic team.
It's not the same. You're right, but I do like there is because Steph has said he's the petty king. He'll admit it. There's a lot more there than meets the eye.
Oh my God, Steph would take LeBron on this team in a heartbeat, and we all know.
Article.
He didn't call from this article.
He took Kevin Durant. He flew
Right.
to the Hamptons with EJ and got Kevin Durant to come to Golden State.
EJ wasn't even old enough to rent a car when that happened.
Yeah, I was like, what, 18.
You were in the New York
But I was
area. You
there.
easily could have been there. You could have taken the
Took a
bus.
jitney.
Could have taken the bus out to the Hamptons.
You guys think Steph Curry would take a picture with me? Or we say, nah, I'm good.
I'm good.
I think Steph would take a picture with you, unlike Jamar Chase.
Yeah, because if Steph Curry took a picture, I think that would make me feel better about losing out on Ocho Cinco.
Do you guys think that Steph Curry would be a sort of upgrade at point guard for LeBron compared to D'Angelo Russell?
Let's think about that one.
One thing about the Lakers, what were they at this point last year? And they made the Western Conference Finals, so they're not dead. The Warriors are won 5 in a row. They're not dead. But still, I need more. I need more from these two teams because they are the premier teams. I mean, who's going to get the biggest rating? LeBron by far, and then the Warriors number 2. So can we change the trade deadline to make this happen?
Could we just put them together like the Steagles when the Steelers and Eagles
Yeah.
played as one joint team? We just put the Warriors and Lakers together and finish the year as one group. So
All right, what's it?
broken.
Yeah, I love it. How about next year to get Bronny? They all join in a neutral city like Charlotte or Atlanta. Wasn't Atlanta
from
rumored?
Charlotte?
Wait, I wonder if
be good for him.
they'll start a
That'd be
new
good for him.
franchise in Las Vegas. That seems like.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, how about this? So Wednesday before the trade deadline, Draymond Green, who Rich Paul represents at Clutch, sent Rich Paul a text message soliciting his help convincing James to join him in Golden State. Wednesday. Again, this is the most half-assed plan I've ever heard in my life. I would hate to see these guys robbing a bank. They'd be in jail forever.
Yeah, they're sitting around in the conference room and go say, "All right, we got 2 hours left. Who do you guys like? Let's
Get
this
the
guy.
whiteboard.
Well, Kelly Olynyk might be available.
Well, don't forget, he went to the
Deadline today.
Raptors, surprising people. So maybe once they lost on Olynyk, they switched to LeBron. He was plan B.
They just turn the whiteboard over and it's just like LeBron James' picture.
Yeah, like, what the hell? We're probably not getting anything done anyway. Let's call for LeBron.
Draymond, text somebody, will you? Text your agent.
Reminds me when in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger's Joker comes into the meeting. Like, what do you propose to do? He's like, well, we killed the Batman.
Right.
He's like, it's so
Good
easy.
plan.
Why have you done
Solid
it
plan.
Yeah, interesting. Well, shame that didn't happen. Bogish headlines, sure.
Actual basketball last night. Jason Tatum scoring 31 in Brooklyn before halftime. He didn't stop in the second half.
Tatum deep, over to his left. They blitz at him with Wilson, a rookie. 5 on the shot clock. Tatum lines him up, takes the 3, swish.
Woo. I was talking to somebody over there right in front of him as he knocked it down.
34 for Tatum.
Sean Grandi, Cedric Maxwell, Celtics Radio. Tatum finished with 41, 14 boards, and a 118-110 Boston win.
I'm actually surprised LeBron didn't lobby to go to Boston. That he would have fit in well there.
He would. I think he'd rather play for Saudi Arabia, play for Boston.
Well, he hates. Oh, he does like Boston. Yeah,
He
but
hates Boston.
Yeah, but dude likes rings.
That's true.
He just said Saudi Arabia.
And by the way, you don't think
Oh my
LeBron's talking to the Saudis right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm really not kidding. I don't think.
Who's going to think is going to own that Vegas team
Right.
that LeBron's going to be running?
There you go.
Some breaking news from the NFL. Football players are tough. They don't stay home because of 6 inches of snow. They don't stop playing the Super Bowl because of a major elbow injury. Chiefs guard Nick Allegretti suffered a complete UCL tear in the second quarter Sunday, and I don't think he missed a snap after that. Allegretti was the replacement for the injured Joe Tooney. All I can think of is how bad the third guy must have been. That they were like, Nick, tape your arm to your chest and get back out there. You've got no choice. We're not putting Todd in.
Third guy
to the Super Bowl.
Did you say Todd?
Yeah. Get out there, Todd.
He's a floor wet, Todd.
I don't know, Mark.
So, I'm sorry, can I make this about me for a second? I think I might have a UCLA tear. A UCLA tear. A UCL tear.
UCLA.
So,
Was that in Blue Chips?
I have a little injury right here. Where is the UCLA?
Next to your Baron Davis.
Where's UCL? What
Is that on the pyramid that John Wooden made?
Tie your shoes.
So it's funny. After the show, I'm going to the doctor today, and I'm afraid I'm going to have Tommy John surgery. Do they give Tommy John surgery to civilians?
I don't know, but if,
should not.
if you're not back in 6 months, we're really going to be disappointed. in you.
Well,
you got to drive San Antonio. We
Bryce
can't
Harper
have the
got
surgery
back.
happen.
If I'm just batting, Bryce Harper got back in 3 months.
If Shohei Ohtani is
Oh,
out
did you
there
see
before
Shohei?
you,
Shohei was raking yesterday.
Yeah, he's a
So,
BP. Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
so I'm
still can't
actually
believe that.
hopeful that my UCLA tear will heal correctly.
Last thing from me, Indiana State men's basketball was on a 9-game winning streak. They were one of the most efficient offenses in America. That's why they were ranked for the first time since Larry Bird was a Sycamore back in the 78-79 season. But then Johnny Kinziger came to town last night, a career-high 31 from Johnny K to lead Illinois State to an 80-67 upset at number 23, Indiana State. So there go the Sycamores from the top 25.
Johnny Kinziger. That sounds like someone who had been at Hoosiers.
Illinois State. Hoosiers too, right there.
Still not better than Blue Chips. Just kidding. Not opening that can of worms again. We didn't say better. We said more watchable. What would you rather rewatch?
Yeah, Bogus, where do you weigh in? What's better, Blue Chips or Hoosiers?
Hoosiers is a better technical movie. It's a better film. But I'd rather, if I had a choice, I would watch Blue Chips again before Hoosiers.
If they're both on TV and you're flipping around.
God, I haven't watched. I got to rewatch Blue Chips. We're doing a rewatchable this off season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blue Chips I haven't seen in many, many years. I remember being kind of cheesy.
I mean, it is. But
so is Hoosiers.
Right. Hoosiers is cheesy as well.
Also, do we have to give Bill Simmons some kind of royalty if we call it a rewatchable?
Yeah, I was about to say.
There you go, Bill.
Else, yeah.
Who?
We mentioned you.
The sort of rewatchable.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. They cornered the market. It's a rewatchable.
Yeah. No, it's good and it's a good podcast.
I think you guys, by the way, the program is a lot of fun still. I think, for me, that energy that you guys are bringing, I thought the program with Joe Kane.
I mean, they're similar type of
They're
movie.
very similar.
It's just the program gets way dark.
It's way cheesier, too. It is even cheesier than Blue Chips.
It's just it's darker material. Like the darkest thing that happens in Blue Chips is what? The point shaving?
Right. And when they find out about it, they're so heartbroken, the coaching staff, like, nah, Jimmy.
That was my guy. He was my guy.
Okay.
God, I love
Nick
that
Nolte,
scene.
he can deliver such a fist pound on the table, you know?
Well, you know,
TV class.
Where we disagree, and I know we did. I think Any Given Sunday is the height of sports movie cheese. Like, can you just run into the end zone without doing a double flip into the end zone once?
How about put your eyes in your head? I mean, that seems easy, too.
Yeah, the eye is always the one for
No
me.
one needs an eye out of a socket.
So many things. Yeah, that movie.
I'll say this, too. It's not on my top 3, but Draft Day is good if you like the draft. If you like the inside.
My brother loves that movie. He's
I'm just saying.
If you love the draft and you love the Browns, you're going to love Draft
No.
Day.
Draft Day was your brother who works in NFL teams. Love that. That movie is crap. Why would you take a running back at 6 and a linebacker at 1? I mean, look what the Lions with Jack Campbell, Jameer Gibbs. Following the draft day, they got killed.
This is the Cleveland
one
Browns.
game from the Super
What do you
Bowl.
expect? Of course they're doing crazy stuff like that.
I've only watched it one time, and I don't remember a lot. Maybe I'll have to rewatch that one.
Okay.
Bogish, thank you so much. Coming up, there's been a study done on the drunkest NFL fan base, and I guarantee you it is not the one you're thinking about. Guarantee. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Keep them coming on our great debate question today, which is, what is the worst coaching decision of all time? Again, loosely based on Shanahan. He didn't make the list, of course. His coaching decisions can be dissected. I don't know if it's the worst of all time to defer take the ball in overtime.
It's not even in the discussion in my mind. It was a mistake, but I think the Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes. They were going to find a way to win anyway.
Yeah, I just don't know why you'd hand Mahomes even more of an advantage, giving him 4 downs to play with, knowing he needs to, that a touchdown wins the game after the 49ers take the field goal. Anyway.
If the Niners hit that 3rd and 4th and run out the clock and hit a game-winning field goal, do we talk about Andy Reid screwing up the Super Bowl? That's how thin a line it is between coaching mistakes and coaching greatness.
Oh, no doubt. So keep them coming because we've had some great entries for worst coaching decisions of all time. Can I give you another one here? And this comes from something called Backtrack, and it's BAC Track. It's a breathalyzer app. They acquired data from over 28,000 tests and matched each observation to the NFL team to determine the fans that drink the most. Maybe a little suspect on how they, gather this material. But if I were to ask you, who's the drunkest fan base in the NFL? The answer is
Philadelphia or Buffalo.
Exactly. I mean, the one team that lights itself on fire and goes through tables and another team that boos Santa Claus. Like, these are drunken people.
Yeah. I would maybe throw in Green Bay because I think to stay warm, you have to drink schnapps constantly or you freeze to death.
Fair. Now, according to this study, the drunkest fan base, the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, yeah, Nashville. I mean, geez, that makes perfect sense. I mean, half of the bachelorette parties are in the crowd.
Number 2 would be the Indianapolis Colts. Is that just the owner? I'm sorry. It was right there. I shouldn't have said that. The Saints are 3. Obviously, New Orleans, a notorious party town. And then Packers 4, Raiders round out the top 5. So Bills and Eagles, not even close.
Yeah, I'm going to question the math on this.
Yeah, no Jets fans in there either?
Jets are at the very bottom.
I put the Jets high on this list. If those Jets fans are sober and acting like that, that's an even bigger problem.
They're just not showing up.
Yeah, right. It's an empty stadium. There's no one to breathalyze.
So does wine count? Because what about the Rams and Chargers crowd? Because
or Taylor Swift chugging the wine. People thought that was beer. That was not beer. She was chugging wine. I know that when I see it.
I would think Seattle is a pretty big party town. They might have gotten into that mix too.
You think so?
A lot of craft beer out in Seattle.
Okay. There's a couple other things that we didn't get to today. One of them that was your thought, Perloff, and I want to give you full credit for this. Mm-hmm. You're watching the Super Bowl, and you thought to yourself, "Oh, the Dallas Cowboys could have won this."
What?
How did you get to this?
Wait. You've totally screwed this up.
Okay, well, tell me. How did you?
I never thought that. You guys, I thought that was.
I asked that question.
EJ asked the question. Could the Cowboys have won that game? I thought you said yes.
No. I do not. Wait, I have to go back. No, I don't think the Cowboys, would have been in that game. No, they couldn't have won that game. How would they have won that game? I mean, the Cowboys would have been shut down. They have one weapon, CD Lamb. You don't think the Chiefs would have completely shut that down?
Okay, I misheard. I thought that you believed that the 49ers were not this real juggernaut of a team and that anyone really could have been in that game and that the Cowboys were one of the teams that could have competed.
I hear you. Yeah, I think I did bring up the topic. I think the Lions would have been a much bigger challenge to the Chiefs because of their dynamic run game. Because they could go 1-2 with Montgomery Gibbs, where the Niners were just McCaffrey. I don't think the Cowboys did. Because think about it, the Cowboys, all they have is CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
The Chiefs were able to shut down all the weapons of the Niners. What could they have done to that Cowboys offense? So I don't think the Cowboys would have been able to do it. Do you?
EJ, you thought the Cowboys could have been in this game?
Yeah, I watched that game thinking that the Cowboys may break through and somehow get to this game at some point because of the comedy of errors we saw in this game. Shanahan, does he know the rules? Does he not know the rules? Guys getting hit, the ball hitting them while they're blocking somebody on a punt. Both starting running backs fumble. Like that looked like a Dallas Cowboys game for a lot of people. So for me, I watched it. I was like, you know what? These Cowboys, they got talent. At some point, they're probably going to break through.
Oh, Pacheco would have run wild on that Cowboys defense. Do you think they would have had a chance?
I don't. I think now, and I don't know if I'm on an island on this one or if people are higher this. We haven't really gotten a lot of fan reaction off of it, but I think Mike Zimmer was a good hire. I liked Mike Zimmer because he does shut down the run. I think there will be more attention on the linebacker core, not just trying to shoehorn guys in there after an injury, just sort of moving a safety over to linebacker, stuff like that. I actually like Zimmer, and if Zimmer was coaching this team, I think they would have a better shot than if Dan Quinn was coaching the defense.
Who owns the team?
Jarrah?
Is anything going to really change?
Well, of course. I mean, we know the answer to that. Okay, so you are welcome to keep it going. Great debate question today. The worst coaching decision of all time. You can go to @Maggie and Pearl, and you can leave your answer there. Thanks, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Pilati. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, right. And happy Valentine's Day.
We haven't mentioned it once. Did anyone get anything for Maggie?
No, my husband already gave me flowers, though. I woke up to them this morning. What a guy. Love you, honey. Bye, guys.
You're in a 5-minute break.